Hey, what's up? How's everyone doing? Anybody out there?
Oh, yeah.
Good to see everyone. Saturday morning, Friday night. Cheers.
Cheers, everybody.
Cheers, everyone.
Fuck yeah.
I'm cheersing from off camera.
Yeah, there we go. Episode 50. 50.
Oh.
Jesus, 50.
50.
Yeah, it's gonna be a great show. Let's do this thing.
Hell yeah.
like and subscribe. You don't have to. It's nice if you do. There we go. Cheers for tuning in. Let's see if anyone's watching.
Cheers.
Hey, there we go.
Hey.
Daniel Lipton's in here. There you go.
Put on
Hey,
the
Brian from Drop Dead's here. Hello. James Cathcart's here. Cheers, everyone. Mike Wolford's here. Cheers. How you doing? Packed house. It's going to be a great show.
Oh, yeah.
Tonight. It's funny. I might do this. I'm not going to start. We were just talking about a record that I showed last week that didn't get much feedback. Then I was talking about it, and everyone loved that record. But like the moments passed. Like the Blood Money record from last week. Turns out got some fans.
Incredible record, man.
Yeah, and you were
right.
just
Mateo likes it too, right?
What's up?
You were
The
just
Blood Money
posting
record.
Yeah, yeah. You know, it was funny because like I was jamming that fucking record like a bunch since they did the reissue, and then Mike put it on. I was like, oh, dude, Blood Money, man. So like a lot of my friends got cued onto it from that, and it's fucking killer ass record.
It's amazing. Check it out, everyone. Blood Money, Red Raw and Bleeding. Get the box set if you can, because it could work out cheaper than getting all the three standalones, and you get the demos as a bonus record. Anyway, that's last week. This is this week. Hey, wow. James says he's watching this en route on the train to a languid.
Oh shit!
Cool. Did you want to see Languid?
Yeah.
Oh my god, I'm jealous. Well, I saw them last night, and they were so killer.
Oh yeah, last night.
Yeah. They played a bar last night in Bushwick. It was a pretty small show, but like everyone was going fucking crazy. It was awesome.
Super cool dudes, dude.
Yeah, great dudes.
Those Canadians.
Too.
Yeah, they're fucking. Yeah. Diego calls them Terrence and Philip Crust.
Yeah.
It's pretty on point.
After he said that, and like we went and go hang out with him when we were playing Skull, and I was just like laughing my ass off.
You couldn't not think of it.
There you go, Brian. Brian, yeah, he's got two different profiles, right? On the TV, but commenting on my phone. There you go, multitasking. There you go.
Nice.
All right, let's get started. It's going to be a great show. 2+ hours of mayhem. Dan's on the show. Good to see you, Dan. It's been a while. I haven't seen Dan for like 16 years now here in Japan.
Yeah, it's been a while, man.
Been a while.
Thanks for having me, man. Thanks for asking me. This is sick.
Yeah, it's great.
Usually this is the first thing I do before I go out and raise hell for the weekend. Is I watch this
pre-gaming with
pre-game.
What you're listening to.
Yeah. And I just become someone's problem for the rest of the night.
Yes. Have you guys heard about the Blood Money box set?
Yeah.
At the bar. At the
bar, yeah.
Hey man, fucking Blood Money, just like random people.
That shit rules, man. Check it out.
That sounds like
Jeff's back. Jeff's back. Third time, right?
Yeah, third time's the charm, you know. So.
Right. Yeah. Mateo, thanks for coming on.
Of course. Happy to be here.
Hell
Cheers,
yeah.
man.
Cheers.
All right. Cheers, everyone. Let's get going, shall we?
Mm-hmm.
As usual, we've all got 5 records. Gonna have a good time talking about. As always, it was really hard for me because I do this every week, and I've got like you can't see it off camera, but there's just stacks and piles of records all over the place. But I've got my 5 for tonight, and I'm going in. I'm not gonna make any changes. I've made up my mind, so let's get going. Anybody ready for some rock and roll?
Always.
Good. Wait, sorry. Before I start, I've got to say happy birthday to 2 people who are very important to this show. Bill Chamberlain. It's his birthday.
Yes.
I think it's his birthday
Happy
like
birthday,
today
man.
where I am. It's on Saturday, right? But
okay.
nevertheless, it's my chance to say happy birthday to Bill. And Kenny Hauser from Moa.
Oh yeah.
So they both share a birthday. Happy birthday. Cheers, guys. Happy birthday. Have a good birthday.
Yeah.
Cheers.
One more cheers.
All right, Rock and Roll, Australia. New record. It's their 4th record. I've talked about this band before. I'm a huge fan of this band. I don't know if anyone else is a huge fan of this band. People have said that they should be big. They've got like some commercial appeal. I don't know, man. I think they're a little too rough and ready to like hit the big time. But I'm talking about C.O.F.F.I.N.
Oh, okay.
All right.
Yeah, this is their new record. Just came out on Goner in the States. I guess Goner is the
Goner Records, yeah.
On Goner Records. Let's just talk about the cover first. I don't know if you can see it, but it's literally like a real like photo of these guys on a ferry in the harbor in Manly, and they just decided to do this at the spot, and they went down and they like all dived off the ferry into the harbor and like got a picture of it. It's kind of great. They took the time and trouble to go out and like almost get arrested and take a proper photograph, themselves like diving. This cover kind of sums up the spirit of the record, I want to say. It's like, it's rock and roll. There's like some AC/DC in there. There's some Motorhead in there. And I was not going to say Motorhead because as soon as I say Motorhead, people are going to say, oh, is it like motor punk? No, it's not like, it's nothing like motor punk. It's like, they kind of pick up on like the kind of bluesiness of like early Motorhead.
Watcher or something. Like,
yeah, it's more subtle. It's not just like let's do Ace of Spades like 20 times on a record kind of thing. It's like it's that early, like subtle, like bluesiness going on. They're Australians. There's some Australian punk in here. It was mastered by Mikey Young from like Jesus, what's the name of that band? He was in Eddie Current Suppression Ring. I guess that guy's doing a lot of like mastering and stuff now.
Cool.
I know, man. We always talk about songs on this channel, songs and hooks, and this record it's just full of great songs. Garage punk, AC/DC, Motorhead, and a singing drummer, like the best singing drummer since Phil Collins. I know, like Phil Collins, or the guy from Snuff. But this guy, like, is an incredible drummer. Like, there's all these like really amazing like drum hooks on this record, which you probably normally wouldn't get from a record like this. But
hell yeah.
Sick.
Yeah, I've actually never heard that, man.
I haven't heard it either.
Well, the thing is, guy, the records aren't easy to get. It's so weird. Like, this is their like fourth record. Like, the first two, you can't find them. The third one, which came out 3 years ago, took me ages to track down a copy of it. I don't know why. I mean, they've been to the States a couple of times. I think they did some shows with Amon and the Sniffers. And I think they have a little bit of a friendship with that band. They don't sound really anything like that band, really. I guess there's kind of a few similarities. This is a much like rougher and rawer kind of a band.
I feel like I've listened to that before. Does the singer kind of have like a kind of voice?
Yeah, it's weird. It's not what you would expect from this kind of music. I always describe it as like, it's like if Ray Cappo or like was like a Sharpie from like 80s Australia. It's got almost like this like New York hardcore kind of voice growling over this. Like,
you nailed it.
Yeah, it works really well. I think this band is great. And, check out this band.
What's the guy from Rose Tattoo? Kind of has a similar voice.
Oh, Angry Anderson.
Angry Anderson.
Yeah,
I want to say these guys are politically. These guys are politically the polar opposite of Young Angry.
Good to hear.
right.
As long as they're not nice boys, though, because nice boys can't play rock.
Yeah.
Which actually, a point that we don't always touch on, but this band are very like have a lot of like great lyrics about like the situation in Australia and stuff too, which you also might not expect from like a rock and roll band. But
yeah,
awesome. Great band. Check it out. C.O.F.F.I.N. Goner Records. Should be easy to get in the States. Australia stops. If you like AC/DC, Australian rock and roll.
I do like AC/DC.
There you go.
Fuck yeah. I do love Rust Tattoo also.
Yeah, me too. Yeah.
Fucking for sure.
Check it out. That's my first pick.
Hell yeah.
And I just want to have a drink just even talking about this record. It's a real... this record like works on two levels. It's like a party kind of record, but it's also like... There's actually quite a lot to discover. Like all the like subtle like riffs and like melodies and stuff in this record. So.
Yeah.
Awesome. That's my first pick. Oh, by the way, C.O.F.F.I.N. stands for Children of Finland Fighting in Norway.
Oh, wow. That's fucking sick name.
You know what's funny is that now that you say that, I like feel like I've heard that. Like acronym.
It's pretty memorable,
which
right?
It's so weirdly, it's so weird.
Right.
Like
I like it. It's cool.
Yeah. What does that have to do with Australia? I don't know.
Nothing. All right. Dan, what's your first record?
All right. So I chose this record. I was planning on it before I knew Jeff was going to be on here, but I'm surprised no one's talked about it yet. And it's funny because like the cover, one of my good friends is like, we were talking about it. I was like, dude, this is sick. You gotta check it out. And he is like, oh man, this is straight up like just from the cover, like tell me you like Japanese hardcore without telling me you like Japanese hardcore. And like this fucking record right here, it's a 4-way split. Screaming Death, fuck yeah, dude. This thing fucking rips, man. It's awesome. Beautiful artwork from Joe B. Fucking comes with a sick ass poster inside. It's just really well done, and like it's cool. This is a 4-way split with Destruct, Scarecrow, Desecrad, and Rat Cage, and they're all from different countries except for Destruct and Scarecrow, of course. But yeah, this thing fucking rips, man. Like I like to talk a little bit about the bands that are on here. Like Destruct, they definitely have like this vibe of like I want to say like Japanese hardcore in the way it's kind of like a mix of like bands like Life and Frompted with a little bit of like Bastard influence in there too. So it's there. What they're doing is sick. You just, you know, they really hit the mark on that kind of like Japanese, almost in between Crasher and Japanese hardcore, like 90s style. So that's they really, you know, they're doing some cool shit. Scarecrow, man, that shit, some of the best songs I've heard from Scarecrow's on there. Fucking amazing. Desecrad, like not necessarily my favorite Poffin side band, but these fucking songs are amazing. They stand out because, you know, this band all has members of people that like, you know, basically built the genre of like King punk and all that kind of shit. So their shit stands out because it's like, you know, it's the real deal. And the Rat Cage from the UK, they kind of remind me of like almost later Swedish bands, almost like Skit Kids, kind of that Swedish hardcore approach. But I don't know if it's just because of I really don't know like where that influence comes from, but it's definitely this King punk, like straight up Total style shit. So like front to back, this fucking record just rips, man. It's really well put together. The artwork, all the recordings on it, it just fucking it's the real deal. It's legit. So definitely, if you guys, if no one's picked this up, check it out. It's really good.
Yeah, hell yeah, yeah. I still gotta get my copy.
Yeah, like
hell yeah.
Jeff, you put that out, right?
Yeah, me and Osman. And then Matas from Discrad did the European version of it.
Yeah. Sick.
Hell yeah. Very cool.
Yeah, you know, like a lot of work went into it. It was a project that took like many years to actually kind of like come together, you know, but we're like really proud of how it turned out. So
you should be, man. It's sick. It's really good.
We're stoked that people are stoked on it, you know.
You can tell. It's like you can just tell that like a lot of love and work went into that record.
Mm-hmm.
Just, like, you can tell. Yeah.
I think one of the things too is like a lot of the bands like are really thoughtful about you know, their presentation, and Joe B is really thoughtful about the artwork too. So it's just like you can tell like everyone put their best foot forward on this shit.
Absolutely.
Everyone came up. It was cool.
I've got to ask Jeff this question. Was Thrash Till Death an influence for this project?
Literally, when we first talked about getting 4 bands to do a split together, we literally said, let's do a Thrash Till Death style compilation.
There you go. All right.
I love that format.
I know.
Yeah, it works well. Yeah.
Yeah, it's so sick.
It's sick. Yeah.
Yeah, like 4 bands each doing like a few, like an EP's worth of songs.
Yes.
It's like,
Yeah, that's very cool, man. That's really cool.
And we just like feel like all the bands kind of like really like, I don't know, like there's something about it. Like everyone had kind of like a fire under them or something, you know. It's like everyone really brought it. We were stoked, you know.
And it comes through on the recording too, and like all the bands fit really well together on the comp too. So
we just all feel like we'll be like buddies forever kind of thing now, you know.
Yeah, it vibes real well, man. It's cool. Great release, man.
Hey, appreciate it,
dude. Yeah,
right.
Sick.
That's going to be on a lot of people's like top 20s. People
for sure.
Lists.
Yeah, I hope so. You know, yeah.
I was actually going to show it, but I was kind of just waiting for someone else to show it. So I'm glad Dan is the first person.
I'm surprised no one's done it yet, too. Honestly,
but, I had it, and I was like, "Well, someone else is going to show it, so I'll let someone else like show it at some point." So yeah.
Everyone's trying to make me blush on camera.
Let's see them cheeks get rosy, dog.
God. I look like a fresh lobster, you know, like.
It's funny that I've already been like asked a couple of times. So, rank the bands on the compilation.
No,
Dylon.
Dylon. Yeah, if there was ever that conversation, I'll just stand in the corner like this.
yeah, for sure.
I'm not going to get in the middle of that.
Yeah. Keep it to yourself, you know.
Yeah, exactly.
Yeah.
All right, that's a great first.
My turn.
Yeah, come on, Jeff. What you got?
All right. So sometimes when I like the other couple times I've been on here, I kind of feel bad that I don't show anything that new. And this time I'm still kind of not really gonna show stuff that's that new. But this is like the most sort of recent anime. So I pulled out these, like, it's kind of a twofer, so it's kind of cheating a little bit. But I pulled out these two records because, like, to me, it's like if you have one, you kind of got to have the other. But it's these two singles by Pura Mania.
Oh yeah, sick.
I don't know if y'all know these records.
Yeah.
No, actually, never heard of
me.
Okay.
Yeah, they're great.
Yeah. So I think they were like from Vancouver, but it's weird because it's like it's sang in Spanish. So I think the singer is like a transplant from Venezuela.
Yeah, he's from Venezuela. He was in a band Fracaso in Venezuela.
Right. Okay. Yeah.
And then moved to Canada, and then now he lives in Mexico City. Rafa.
Oh, shit. Okay. Well, right on. I didn't know that part, but
yeah.
Yeah, I mean, speaking of Mexico, I mean, like, there's that band that I feel like everyone's freaking out about right now. That band Mess.
Okay.
I feel like,
yeah.
And I think they're kind of doing that sort of like melodic, sort of like new age blitz era Oi influenced style. And not to say that one band is better than the other or whatever, but yeah, I was gonna bring that up too in a minute, but yeah, but I feel like this band kind of was doing that a similar style, but these 7-inchers are almost like 10 years old now or something. But it's just that like super catchy, like tuneful kind of like single note guitar kind of thing going on, and like the vocals are really what makes it. Just like, I don't really speak Spanish at all, so like I don't really know what he's saying, but like it's just like super super catchy. And like where I feel like Mess maybe has like a foot, like there's sort of more Oi influence. This is kind of more just like straight up like kind of raw recorded punk, and it's, I don't know, it's just like super good. But yeah, I was gonna say that, like, I think like I posted these on social media the other day, and a friend of mine was just like, oh, I don't know where this information is coming from, like what their source is, but apparently they're supposed to like have a new record coming out. So,
oh shit, that's good news.
Yeah, because I think they
still playing. Yeah, that's sick.
Yeah, well, because I mean, I guess if the dude was like in Canada for a while and like moved away or whatever.
Yeah.
But I think that like originally they only had these two singles and then like a 12-inch, and the 12-inch even has like redone versions of some of these singles, So like hopefully it's like all new stuff and it'll be really killer, But for me, these like really hold up. Like I pulled them out for the first time in a really long time, and they're just like totally.
Nice. First time for me. Pura Mania.
Yeah, Pura Mania. Yeah. If I'm pronouncing that right, I don't know.
Pura Mania.
Terrible Spanish. I'm sorry. Yeah, and I think of the two singles, like I prefer this yellow one. It's a Música para Gente Fea. I think that one I might like a little bit better than this one. But it's kind of like if you play one, you like just have to play the other. They go together.
Yeah.
Right.
Cool. They, like, I'm definitely have to check that out, man, for sure.
Yeah. Hopefully you like it. But
yeah.
All right, that's my first pick.
Nice. All right, Mateo, what's your first record?
Okay. Let's just go. My first record, we'll get this out of the way, is a cassette tape.
All right.
Nice.
It is a split cassette tape. It is called Liberación a través de la violencia, which means liberation after violence, and it's a split between P.I.N and Menores Poseídos. So this is a really important release for me. Basically P.I.N to me is they're a band. The singer / drummer. Speaking of singer drummers, it's a 2-piece. So it's she's from Chile, and lives in she moved to Barcelona, but I guess they live outside of Barcelona in the countryside now. And it's her and her partner Jan, and he plays guitar. So it's just guitar and drums. And it's extremely crude, raw hardcore. It is like some of the rawest, best type of fucking hardcore you could ever hope to fucking hear. John, who plays guitar, he was also in Firmeza 10 from from Spain. And I think maybe another band that I can't remember right now. But basically, P.I.N, it's just like tupa, just like really angry, and like I've had the pleasure of seeing them a couple times. When my old band Dawn of Humans played in Barcelona the first time we played with them, and they blew my mind. And they also like did this really weird thing. I mean, not to sound too like woo-woo, but for some reason, this like Ataque Frontal song had been stuck. Ya no formo parte de eso was like stuck in my head, like the whole like trip to Barcelona. And then they covered it like that night, like it was just like really weird. I was just like, what the fuck? Get out of my fucking head, but it was really cool. And yeah, the lyrics, it's extremely, political protest music. It's just anarchist protest music. Lyrics are really, really angry. Actually, I kind of want to I'm going to do this really annoying thing. I'm going to read the first song on this. It's like, there's not even drums. It's just like 3 chords and really angry vocals. And what she's saying is, in English, it's basically, she's saying, it's called Comunicado Número 2. So on another tape, they have the first communication, and this is the second communication. It's the same riff on both songs with slightly different lyrics, calling for basically armed revolution in a really intense and direct way. And what she's saying is torture, assassinations, and rape are what the people who question their power and positions get. We demand the death of Sebastián Piñera, who was at the time the Chilean president. He's no longer in power, as of last year. We've declared war. There's no time for change. Bring back armed struggle. There's no more options. It's them or us. This macho society and shitty laws have to change. We have to be done with all of that. There's no other solution. It's kill or be killed. They're forcing us to decide. The judges, politicians, cops, and military people, their hour has come. The only response is violence against them.
Wow.
Oh yeah.
Harsh, real shit. And then you hear it, and it's just this kind of it's just extremely intense. It gives me goosebumps when I listen to this.
Right.
And all the other lyrics and stuff are great too. But yeah, so this is a split though, and the other band that it's a split with, Menores Poseídos, is a band that's from Chile. They're from a small, I forget the name of the town right now, but they're from Lota. It's a small kind of a place, from what I understand, that had a lot of industry that's now just all abandoned, so it's industrial kind of wasteland, and also very angry. They're a little bit more. Menores Poseídos is really good. I mean, it's a different take though. It's bouncier, it's catchier. Their first song, I mean, also this comes with an awesome fold out lyric thing, double-sided, really cool artwork,
Nice.
Hardcore radical, where's it at? Yeah, it's good stuff. Again, protest songs, very political lyrics about the situation in Chile and South America right now. But yeah, Menores Poseídos have a bit of a bouncier sound. There's a little bit, I feel more classic punk influence, just slightly. It's a little bit more not oi influence, but it has this bounce to it. Even actually the first song by Menores Poseídos on this almost reminds me of Crazy Spirit. Actually, that's that kind of bounce to it.
Right.
But yeah, this to me is basically everything P.I.N does is untouchable for me. But this split specifically is such a good representation of both bands and of this kind of extremely very desperate sounding, very real protest hardcore punk that I feel it's like beyond trends. It's beyond, whatever shit that like us as like kind of like Western punks might value or like care about in the punk scene in a way. Or tend to, because like our punk scenes tend to be like focused more on like social aspects, I think, This seems to really come from a place of like desperate political reality that they're fighting against, and that really comes through in the sound. And I think it's so this is like one of my favorite releases of the past few years.
Nice.
And like I said, like every time I put this on, I just get like fucking chills and I want to like run through a wall that's like pacing around my house, just like,
it's cool when bands like have that kind of urgency in their sound and lyrics that really like kind of moves you. So definitely have to check that shit out.
Absolutely, man. Yeah, and it's just like, it's fucking sick, raw ass hardcore. It's really good.
Yeah.
Opinion has like a 7-inch out too, right?
They have a few. Yeah, they have like they have 2 7-inches and a handful of tapes.
I feel like whatever the most recent one was, like we had at Sorry State, and I remember them being a 2-piece and throwing it on, thinking it was like killer, But now knowing that the lyrics are as like intense as they are makes me want to like figure out what they're saying, because obviously,
for sure,
they know in Spanish, but like that's really cool.
Yeah, they're like it's really badass. It's like it's like scary sounding in like the best possible way, in the best way that like hardcore should be when it's actually kind of about something. You want it to like hit you in a way that's like a little bit threatening, because like if you feel slightly threatened listening to it, it's not necessarily meant to threaten like a punk, but it's also meant to like shake you a bit. I think it's meant to threaten the system, and it's good shit for sure.
Yeah, that's cool, dude.
Hell yeah.
I don't know if my second pick could be kind of loosely tied into this. It's an older version maybe of like what we're just talking about. I'm going back to like 1985 on Peru. Lima, Peru. And I'm not sure. Like I'm hoping some of you guys can like fill in the blanks, maybe a little bit. It doesn't matter if you can't. But like this is something I picked up recently. It's a reissue of like an old classic, I guess. It's a record, Leusemia.
Oh, I love that record.
Oh,
yeah. I'm still like living with it a bit. I played it a few times, but it's like, is this like the first like punk record that ever came out of Peru? Maybe.
Besides Los Psychos, I think it was like the first like punk record,
Yeah,
or one of the first. Yeah,
like 1985. I mean, just the jacket's like fucking amazing. Anyway.
Yeah,
obviously it's like very heavily influenced by the Ramones. I guess they were listening to a lot of the old like punk stuff. But yeah, it just has this urgency to it that you wouldn't get from a similar record that had been released in like France or America or England. It's like really, it is bouncy. It's like it's a little bit poppy. It's like a little bit Ramonesy. It's very Ramonesy, but it has a real like urgency and like kind of to it that you probably wouldn't get from records from different countries. I guess this is like a super important record from Peru at that time. This is the reissue that Martin did.
Oh, nice.
This is already old. This is like from 2008, so it's like it's already been reissued. It's pretty old, but
hell yeah.
Yeah, that's a great record, man. Like that song, "Crisis en la Gran Ciudad." It's like I feel like the lyrics on that are they're very, Peru is going through like its extreme like military dictatorship and stuff, and it's like reflective of those times, like in a way that's like pretty street level. It's about just like living in Lima and it sucks to be young in Lima, under this repressive military dictatorship,
But they've also got like songs like Diarrhea, like kind of juvenile punk rock songs on here too. Just a real like punk rock record, which like I don't know like where they recorded this, but like just the way it sounds, it's like it's perfect. Just the buzzsaw guitar, it's such a great sounding record too. It's like snotty punk with like buzzsaw guitar, just really urgent and just really really cool stuff.
Oh yeah.
And I don't know anything about Peru, so I did Peruvian punk, so I did look it up a little bit. There's a couple of documentaries, but they're both on YouTube. There's one called El Grito Subterráneo from 1987. It's on YouTube, so you can check that out. And there's another one from 2005 called Lima Explota. I plan to check those two out a little bit and learn a bit more about like the Peruvian punk scene. So.
I've seen the Grito Subterráneo. It's really cool. It's like a document of bands playing at that time. It's awesome.
Right.
Like, it's really cool. Yeah.
That's sick. I gotta check that out for sure.
Yeah, I felt like I was a little bit ignorant about that. I mean, I knew Chaos, that they were a good band from Peru too, like back in the day. Chaos from
Ataque Frontal, who I mentioned earlier. Yeah. Amazing. Yeah, Peru had a lot of really cool shit. A lot of cool metal stuff too, actually.
Fuck.
Yeah.
Really cool definitely.
Yeah, that's new to me, Mike. What's the band called again?
Oh, sorry. Well, it's basically. I'm not sure if this is an S or a Z. You see it spelled different ways. It's Leusemia or Leusemia. Okay. It's basically leukemia, like spelled like this,
right. Yeah, I'll have to track that down. It sounds like it'd be right at my
alley. Oh, it's great. It's real good stuff. I mean, Martin obviously loved it enough to,
for sure,
reissue it. He did like a compilation too, of 4 Peruvian punk bands, which I'm
like when I was on the show another time, Martin also did that Leusemia, right?
Yeah, the Uruguayan band, yeah.
Yeah, they're Uruguayan, that's right.
Yeah. Great stuff.
Yeah, for sure.
Okay. Autopsia. Is that
Autopsia, yeah, another Peruvian band, I believe, yeah.
Okay.
Yeah.
All right.
Shout out Diego. Cheers, Diego.
Hey, Diego's been commenting a lot with some good info.
Yeah. Shout out Diego.
There you go. Yeah, it's something I'd like to kind of find out more about, like Peruvian punk, because I'm a little bit of a blind spot for me. So there you
go. Hell yeah.
All right, Dan, what's your second pick?
All right, so I picked this record just because, this is called What Are You Listening To? I've been spinning this record like fucking nonstop lately. It kind of like revisited it. It's definitely one of my records from this band, one of my favorites. But Forward, While You Alive,
nice.
This fucking record, man. It's not really it's not widely discussed, like when you think about Forward or people talk about Forward or even Japanese hardcore in general. But this thing it's a 6-song EP, and it fucking, like we were discussing earlier, it plays out like a full album. Like it's sick. And this is like during a time where it was just Soichi on guitar. So, between him and you, they did like all the writing, and it's just got banger after banger on this one. And I think it's some of their best work that they've done, like best solos, best songs.
I was gonna say that it's like bands that have been going for a long time don't really like to hear that their best work is like their first or second record, but I've got to say that is some of my favorite Forward stuff too.
Yeah. And it's crazy because like a lot of people's exposure to Forward, oh yeah, dude, melt to the other fucking side. A lot of people's exposure to Forward was when they came, I want to say in the later 2000s. So the first time, or one of the first times they came, they had Doi on drums. But, after that, they got Akiyama. And I feel like when you lose a particular member of a band that's just like, fits so well with the music, it changes the style of music a little bit. But like, I think when they were hitting on all cylinders when they wrote this one, for sure. And like I said, man, it's just a 6-song EP, but it fucking fires like a full album.
So loud, like in a good way. The drums just like fucking jump out of the speakers at you.
Yeah. And Doi's a beast. They call him the Japanese Slayer hippie, and he does like very similar kind of like drum fills and accents and shit that really kind of really adds to the music. When you have a drummer that can do that, it's fucking.
He's amazing. He really is amazing. Like, shout out to Doi. Like, we'll talk about this after the show. I've got something to say, but like he's great. Yeah.
Yeah, he's awesome. And like I think around this time too, Doi was responsible for the layout. So Doi was doing a lot of their visual stuff. So, like back in like, I want to say like the 90s and 2000s, people were trying to do they're getting away from like cut and paste and using computers to do layouts. So like when shit's pixelated, you could tell it just looks corny as hell. But they actually he uses like the pixelation as like, he puts on the forefront and like does something cool with it. It's like, I think that's sick. So yeah, dude, this album, if you haven't heard it, I think it's right up there with any classic Japanese hardcore, like like fucking Wind of Pain, anything like that. You gotta hear it.
And I want to say something. I could be wrong. Isn't like the vinyl, like the sequencing, isn't like the CD and the vinyl like that has like a different track order? And the
Yeah,
vinyl
yeah,
is
it
like,
does.
and the vinyl is like perfectly done. And the CD is like the weird track listing sequence.
Yeah. I want to say that the CD has like Melt to the Other Side up front. I could be wrong about that though.
It's
I had the
either
CD, but I lent it to a friend, and like, you know, I ended up getting like, I have a copy of this, and my wife has, or my fiance has a copy of this. But when we were at Sato's house one time, he just gave us a stack of CDs and records, and this was one of them.
nice.
And it's fucking some of the best work they've ever done, man. So it's just a fucking classic as far as I'm concerned, man.
Dude, yeah, I that one flew under my radar. I don't know this record.
Oh,
Dude, yeah.
man. You're in for
It's
a treat.
so good.
Oh yeah,
So good.
Yeah.
I'm gonna check it out.
It's
yeah.
like it doesn't have like most Ford records you can stream on YouTube, but this one only has like maybe one or two songs from this album that you can find on there. It's definitely fucking worth to listen to.
We could talk about Ford for a long time. It's definitely like, okay, like Death Side's broken up, so there's like, and there's no Chelsea in this band, so it's like really like back to basics, like hardcore punk. Like there's no like, you know, it's different, right? It doesn't sound like Death Side like at all, really.
No, and like
straight.
a lot of that's due because of the way that Suichi writes. You know, he was
right.
He was in that band with Kawakami. God, what was the fucking name of that band?
Insane Youth,
right?
Insane Youth AD. Yeah.
Yep.
So he also did work with Gudon and like I just like he's got such a unique style, you know, and like that's kind of the cool thing about Ford too, is like they have a very distinct, like it's like they have a real distinct sound as far as like you can really tell Yusan's bass work, and like especially when they get to like some of the later records where they incorporate more rock and roll, and like, you know, that's when their sound becomes really distinct. So
yeah.
So that is my second pick.
That's a nice reminder to pull that one out. I haven't played it for a while. It's great. It's classic.
Oh yeah.
Nice. All right, Jeff, what you got?
All right. So I actually got this record today. I was like out record shopping. It's a record I've been looking for a long time. It's a metal record. And I feel like I'm going to show it, and I feel like a bunch of people are going to say things about it that I want to say about it before I have a chance to say them. Record, Original Sin.
Oh.
I don't know if anyone knows this record.
Nope.
So what's interesting about it is like, and I always thought this was just true, but I did some research today, and like, so it's billed as like an all-female heavy metal band, and there's even this photo on the back of like the women who are supposedly in the band, but it's all made up. And basically what it is, it's the members of Virgin Steel.
All right.
So this is on that what's the label, like Cobra or whatever, who had like a lot of bands on it, and it's like these bands, and it's like a revolving door of people who kind of just did a bunch of different bands, but it's like all the same people. So there's like this sort of like in-house label thing that they did, and it's really interesting because I guess it's like the guitar player of Virgin Steel's sister is the singer, and like they kind of like tried to make it a thing more marketable by it being like an all women heavy metal band. And like when I found out that it was kind of like a joke or not a joke, but like that it was untrue or whatever, I was kind of bummed, you know, because like this record smokes, and I was just like, man, and like I don't know, it's just like it's kind of like, it's not exactly thrash metal, it's sort of maybe more on the speed metal side of things.
I like that.
It's really melodic vocals, but it's just like every single song is just like fast paced, and it's just like pounding double kick is the loudest thing in the mix on every single song, and every single song has pounding double kick, and it just rules, you know. And for me, one of the best tracks on the record, and like forgive the language, but like it's called Bitches from Hell, and it goes like, we are the bitches from hell, and I'm just like, yes, dude, you know. Then to find out that it's like just like a bunch of like dudes from another band, and they got like the dude's sister to sing, it's kind of like, oh man. But it's seriously like it's like a killer, like heavy, maybe sort of even more on like the sort of like nastier side. Like we were talking about the Blood Money record earlier, like it's the nastier side of melodic, fast heavy metal.
Hell yeah.
I don't know if no one in the group has heard this. Like, I just think it's fucking great. You know?
Nice.
Awesome. Like,
I love that era. Like Dennis was saying too, like that era where like heavy metal is becoming like speed and thrash. You got all these bands like Helix and like Sabotage and all these bands that are like speeding things up, and like.
So all the bands you're mentioning, I think, were like put out by this label. Like I think they did like Like I mentioned Virgin Steel, but then I think they also did like sort of like their Canadian label, and I think they did like Possessed and Nuclear Assault and stuff like that. But then they also did. There's this band like Exorcist. I don't know if you've heard that.
That's a great record. That's great. That's a great record.
Yeah, that's a good record. Yeah.
So it's all that kind of vein, and it fits right in with that. So
I want to say that Exorcist is kind of like one of those like made up bands too, like people like.
I've heard that. It's like not a studio musician band, but like kind of like guys who were in other bands made up like a studio project, I guess.
Let's make a vicious, scary thrash record and we'll call it Exorcist and blah blah blah.
Yeah,
and I think
it's a great record.
It's like the same thing with this, and it's funny when you look this up on Discogs, it has like the women's names who are billed or whatever, and they're just made up names, and then you click on the names on Discogs, and it's like a dude's name. but it's killer. Like it's a great record.
Hell yeah,
nice man. That's a good recommendation. I'm a sucker for that kind of stuff.
Yeah. Me too. That's me.
All right. Follow that one, Mateo.
Okay. Well, I'm gonna bring it back to Dan here. This is a classic. Everybody loves this record. Come on, we got All Is Here Now.
Oh, fuck yeah, dude!
There we
Hell
go.
Yeah! Is that the Joe B signed version?
Yes. So this copy of this record is funny because so Joe B, God bless his heart. The maniac, and he doesn't really party anymore, but he used to party pretty hard, and we used to. It's a funny story. Basically, I used to live with Sarah Huff, from Detestation and Question, and they're very tight because Joe B played in Question, and I was annoyed with Sarah because I lived with her, and she sold a bunch of her records to Material World. And I bought a bunch of her Apostles records, like the Anarcho band.
Oh man, they're one of my favorite bands of all time.
Yeah, they're fucking amazing. And she had written Huff on the back of all the records. So I got all these records. I got home. I was like, man, it fucking says Huff, and I was annoyed with her. I think I wasn't living with her at the time actually, but I was annoyed. Roommate stuff, whatever. I was just like, man, I got Huff on my records, But me and Joe, we were talking about that, and we were just like talking shit for like hours, partying sometime, and we were like, you know what though, it's kind of sick to write your name on records because like, fuck the like resale value or whatever the hell, like this kind of idea of records as a commodity, like if that's a punk record that you love, like why the fuck not make it your own, or just be like, fuck you, like fuck like the preciousness of this object,
That's a boss move, man. That's a really boss move, I think.
Joe took that conversation much more seriously than I did. I don't write my name on records, but Joe was just like, "Fuck it, I'm gonna do it." And so, flash forward a couple years later, we're partying, and Joe's in the mood where he's just like I don't give a fuck about this shit. Like in this way, like I know that you love this too. So he's like, gives me this envelope. It's like 7 a.m. and I bike home. And he's like, don't open it until you get home. I'm like, okay. And I open it, and it's All Is Here Now.
Nice.
That's signed by Joe. Wait, right here. Yeah. Signed by Joe.
Love that. So awesome.
Yeah. And I mean, I feel like, what is there to say about this record besides that this is like, for me, one of the greatest distillations of Death Side's sound into like one like thing, I feel like this record I think is from '93, so it's like a little bit. It's towards the end of their time.
Their last or next to last 7
Yes,
right? Yeah.
And for me, it was always, I love their LPs, but this record in particular and the split with Chaos UK, which is also from like around the same time, are like that's like epitome Death Side to me. I feel like Bet on the Possibility is like one of my favorite records ever, but I feel like they stripped it down for that split and for this record, where it was a little bit like even the recordings is slightly raw.
Yeah.
And it's just perfect hardcore. Like the songwriting obviously is incredible. The riffs are fucking amazing. Like this record's been very near and dear to me since I was a teenager. And actually going back a little bit to speed metal stuff, I remember I went to Puerto Rico when I was like 17. And I was at a family, our family friends. So this kid, he's like my cousin basically, but not actually blood related. Rolando, and I grew up, every time I went to Puerto Rico, we'd hang out with his family, and I'd hang out with Rolando. He's my age, and I remember meeting him again when I was like 17, and he's like, he was getting into metal, kind of, and I was into like punk and hardcore, and so we kind of had like some stuff to talk about, but not really, like it was like we're like kind of missing some stuff, and he was like, "Oh man, you got to check this shit out, man. You got to listen to Halloween," and I was like. Honestly, these days Halloween's kind of sick, but like at the time, I was like, "This shit is fucking whack." Like, fucking, like I was like, "Fuck this shit." I was like, "If you want to listen to some hard ass metallic shit," I was like, "Listen to fucking Stop It," the intro to Stop It, which has insane harmonized guitar, and then you just get like a perfect hardcore song, And I was like, "This is the shit you should listen to." And needless to say, I don't think he really got into that side, and I didn't get into Halloween until like last 5 years, but. Yeah, I don't know. This record is amazing. I put this on and I like. Starving Dog Eats Master also are top notch. Yeah, for sure. Yeah. I think they share some songs off that with the Chaos UK split. They're different versions. Yeah. But yeah, I don't know. This is like, I put this on and again, like I just like pace my fucking house and like want to break shit. It doesn't quite do. There was a point in time where you couldn't put on like H100s or like 86 Mentality or Inmates without me like literally breaking furniture. So it was like a bad thing. This almost does that, Yeah, love it though. And I love that my copy is personalized by my dear homie Joe.
The first time I ever met Joe B, it was in Minneapolis when he still lived there. And we just like went to his house and hung out after the show or whatever. And we listened to Death Side until like 7 a.m. or something.
Fuck yeah, that sounds about right. Yeah.
Yeah. That's what you do, After the gig, you gotta listen to Death Side till the sun comes up, man.
Yeah, dude.
We were just agreeing about everything. I was just like, Chaos UK split, best material. And he was like,
Yeah.
That still needs a proper
it does, man.
Run.
Yeah. There's a bootleg, right? I don't own it in any format, It was a CD
bootleg. Right? There was an official release on vinyl from Break the Records, but they only pressed like 300 or something stupid. And actually, the bootleg sounds better than that. I don't know what happened with that record, but anyway, it needs a proper reissue on properly done reissue. But
it's like I love Chaos UK and everything, but it's kind of a one-sided record.
It definitely is. Chaos UK, God bless Chaos UK, obviously, but they kind of they took the L on like some splits they did. I mean, Ear Slaughter I feel like is
there's so much later,
I know it's true, but it's like for me, it's like ENT side will always swamp the Chaos UK side of that record too.
I was going to say something about like how like the Death Side LPs, it's definitely like more Chelsea. It's like, okay, there's got to be like my progressive rock like interludes and stuff, and I want to do this and I want to do it, and it will take them like 5 years to like record the record. I think by the time they got to that, it's like, fuck it, we're going like not back to basics, but back to basics for Death Side. I think we're just going like Discharge mixed with Disorder and like with Chelsea's crazy guitar playing and like it kind of, and it's ferocious, man.
Mixed with Poison Idea too, that the driving. Riffy driving like almost anthemic, hardcore, but still very hardcore.
And every song is memorable too. Every song is memorable.
The first song on the Chaos UK split where there's that guitar break and then all the guys just go, so killer.
Dude.
Breaking news: Death Side playing C.O.F.F.I.N September 2024. See you there.
Is that real?
Yeah. Yes.
Yeah. I think. Oh, okay. Cool. They're opening Aaron Niccolo.
Yeah. It's like also, isn't it like one day too? I mean,
it's like every band like
that's crazy.
I know. It's like that's crazy. Yeah, that's definitely gonna be something to see though, for sure.
Yeah.
All right. I've got something new. As we all know, France has like been killing it recently with a barrage of great records. So it seems fitting that a band will actually call themselves like Barrage.
Yeah.
Okay.
Barrage. This is brand new. It's on Kick Rock Records. Beffers label, who's from Deletar. Obviously, he took the name of the record from the label from like
Poison Arts.
Poison Arts. So we're looking at some like Japanese hardcore influence. That's a nice segue from the Death Side because these guys definitely love Death Side, but it's like it's like just France are killing it, man. And I know this stuff's kind of been done before. It's like a little tiny bit down tuned, like Wolf Brigade. Mm-hmm. I don't know, like Seven Head of State, but like they're doing something new with it, much like Deletar did with their record. They're taking something that's been done and like lifting it to the next level, and like Bombardment did with their record from last year. They're taking like D beat and like they're lifting it to another. I think these guys are kind of taking a sound that's kind of been done before and just making it like taking it to the next level. Dual guitars, lots of guitar solos, like anthemic choruses. It's great. It's like it's this like it's like France does it again. It's like traditional Japanese hardcore mixed with a little tiny bit of like stadium crust, but don't let that put you off. Like it's killer stuff. Silkscreen cover and insert.
We're due for a stadium crust revival, I think.
Right?
Yeah,
Eggpunk stadium crust, bring it back.
Bring it back.
Yeah, you were discussing the Eggpunk revival earlier. Dudes in their 30s, like, yeah, we're bringing it back, man.
No, we go from Stadium Crush to like we can go into like Fall of a Frofra territory,
Yeah,
it's great. I can smell the ink. It's like it's silkscreen. It's beautiful. It smells good. Sounds good.
Hell yeah. Barrage.
Yeah.
Barrage.
I didn't check this out, but it's on Kick Rock, who has not been disappointing lately. Kick Rock.
I think I have one that I'm not going to talk about. That's a Kick Rock release. I think this might be a reissue.
They did yes, that is if anyone hasn't heard that.
Oh yeah.
Nice. That's nice. Yes.
Yoshihiro Hiroka and Human Arts, another Chelsea band, but that was a Kick Rock one.
It was. He resurrected that from the dead. People had forgotten about that. It only came out on CD in Japan years and years ago. Yeah, but
definitely gonna have to check out Barrage for sure.
Barrage, it's great. It's a great record. Yeah, like just came out this year. Lots of great riffs, hooks. I mean, just let's compare it to the Deletar record in that sense that they're taking something that's been done and then like lifting it to the next level. It's similar in that respect,
Yeah,
for sure.
Awesome.
Adding some new energy to something that's maybe been done, but there you go. Barrage, self-titled Kick Rock Records.
Oh yeah,
2023. I'm sure Daniel will be getting some, right?
I would imagine,
Actually, we've got. Wait, Brian's right. It's Poison and not Poison Arts that did Kick Rock.
Poison. Yeah.
There you go.
Not Poison, not Poison Arts.
Not Poison Arts. There you go. All right, Dan, what's your next pick?
All right. So I think it was like a couple episodes ago. I think it was Jordan that was talking about Spasm 151 and like how that's like, kind of like some Texas bands that were doing a lot of cool shit back in the day are kind of slipping into obscurity and, some like generations of punks or people might not know about these bands. But this one is a record that's been the first release was on CD in like 2002, and it's got members of Bread and Water. If you guys know about that punk band, they're from the Dallas-Fort Worth area. But this one is Garuda. It's this is two members of Bread and Water, but they are also from the DFW area where I'm from, and it's definitely more metallic. It's got like elements of like I would say kind of like death metal in the sense of like Swedish death metal a little bit, but there's also like some crustier punk shit in the mix, like that you would expect from members of Bread and Water. But it's definitely got some really, really infectious hooks, some really cool breakdowns. And the cool thing was like when this came out in like 2002, it blew our fucking minds. Like we didn't know much about like what these dudes were doing in the local scene, but they fucking just seeing them was just like they're so powerful and their stage presence is like immense. They're just a monolithic band. You just watch them and you just get your fucking your skull fucking blown apart. But this record came out this year. It's the first time they've ever put it out on vinyl. It was released by my buddy Clay from Rescued from Life Records, and he's put out all kinds of good shit. But definitely check his label out if you ever get around to it. But the cool thing about this vinyl edition is that they put a song that was on a Robot Empire compilation called 13. It was only available on that for a long time, so they stuck that on the end of this record. But it's got really cool fucking like drum work. It's just it's very unique sounding too. It's really hard to describe it honestly, but it's got it's at the beginning of the record starts off with just like pummeling blast beats with death metal style guitar work, and then segues quickly into like some kind of D-beat-ish like crust punk sounding. And the vocals are just deep, heavy growl, almost like a bolt thrower. So it's got a little mix of like different, it picks pieces from different styles of music and different bands, and it's got its own unique sound. But it's fucking this is a heavy hitter, man, and it's like definitely a true mark of like Texas metal and hardcore, I think.
Wow.
Yeah. So it just came out this year, so pick it up. I'm sure Clay still got a bunch of copies of it.
Oh, this is a new record?
Actually, no. This is a reissue of the CD that came out in 2002. So it took them like 20 years to finally get this out on vinyl. So
so it's on vinyl originally.
No, it was on CD.
Okay.
So like finally got the vinyl treatment, which is really cool. Sounds massive when you stick it on your record player. So nice. And that's the way it should sound. I think it's fucking this thing slaps, man.
Nice one. Good.
All right.
All right.
My turn.
Yes.
Hell yeah, go for it.
Go ahead, sir. Go ahead.
So I want to shout out my good buddy Osman, my best bud. And he, whenever we hang out and listen to records, he has this box of records that he calls his like cheap 90s bin. But the thing is, you flip through it and it's just all bangers in there. So what I'm going to show is like a bargain record that is just if I can find it. It's the Don't Be Numb 7-inch by Times Square Preachers.
Yeah, yes. Yeah.
Oh, yeah.
So it's just funny. It's like he calls it just like 90s heat box, and he really showed me this record.
He ain't wrong. He ain't wrong.
Right. Yeah. I mean, like, so it's, it's like 1994, like Swedish hardcore, and it's came in on a Your Own Jailer Records, who like put out stuff by like, like they did the Totalitar Disc Machine split and like a bunch of killer records in that era. But for whatever reason, like you can probably go to your local record store and buy this for like $3. But for my money, as far as like Swedish Kang style stuff, this is just as good as any other record that people pay tons and tons of money for. It's just like this record just kicks.
Sick. I do not know that at all.
Oh, really?
I was say like the name of the band and like just other very tiny factors didn't. I don't know, man. It's like,
definitely in terms of like the name, the presentation stuff, it definitely like reads like a record that shouldn't be expensive. You know what I mean?
Yeah. Or good.
Yeah.
Is good. It's like it's a great sounding recording. The drumming is incredible. In fact, like the dude who does Your Own Jailer, that label is the drummer of this band, and I think he played in Disc Machine too.
But yeah.
There's a whole bunch of that kind of stuff like Three-Way Come and Disumbrage and like
right, and
like all that kind of stuff has been a little bit lost and forgotten a bit. I think.
And I think like some of the band. Oh yeah, that 7-inch is killer. That Abuse. Yeah. Like, if you like Abuse, this is like right up that vibe.
Yeah. Fuck that.
It's like, and the thing is, it's like I don't know, with like a lot of 90s stuff, it's like to me this isn't like super duper crusty. It's still like sort of like a crisp, like riffy recording. And it's just like or like more along the lines of like sort of like the catchier side of Totalitar than it is like Doom or something like that.
Right.
And like so super rhythmic and bouncy and just I don't know, it's just killer, man.
Hell yeah, dude.
Yeah.
I gotta get that out. It's Times Square Preachers. It's those 3-word band names can be tough. What's the other band? Another Swedish band, Sunday Morning Einsteins.
Einsteins.
I know that.
Yeah, I remember it being cool, but it's like the name will like kind of just turn you off.
That's like a prank records thing that Ken was like, I just cannot sell these, get rid of these records.
It's been good, but it's like also like the name is just it's hard,
Yeah, for sure.
That's a great. That box is correctly labeled.
Yeah, for sure. Yeah. We pull records out of that all the time that I've never heard, and he's just like, "Oh man, you haven't heard this?" And he puts it on, and I'm like, "This rips, dude."
Dude, yeah, that's a solid fucking record, man. I think I was spinning that one a couple weeks ago. I think I was talking to Tom GS about it, but yeah,
makes sense. That would be a record.
There's so many, like that Utus record from Finland.
Yeah, it's a good one.
We could go on and on and on about. You've probably got that in the box, probably. Nice.
Yeah.
Sweet. Gonna do a quick cheers. All right.
Oh yeah, it's about that time.
Yeah.
Been a while.
Mandatory cheers time.
Cheers. Don't
spill more booze on my sober roommates.
Once you can get away with twice, might be pushing it.
Yeah, I'll try. Okay. I'm up. I'm gonna pivot away from punk and metal, and go into spooky territory here.
Ooh, nice.
Yeah. All right. We got none other than Suspiria.
Oh,
Ooh.
Goblin.
Yeah.
Beautiful.
So, yeah, I am an enormous Goblin fan. I've been into this record. You know, I got into Suspiria in high school, and I think I got like a DVD that came with like a CD of the soundtrack. And Suspiria is one of my favorite movies. I rewatched it for the first time in like 5 years, like last week, and it holds up. It's so good. But I feel like over the past however many years, it's like I've gotten into other Goblin stuff and other like I think Tenebrae is one of their best soundtracks. It's really good. So it's been a minute since I kind of was like delving hard into Suspiria. But like, yeah, the last like couple weeks I was like really getting back into that record, and it's so good. I mean, it's weird. I feel like in the past like 4 years, especially, I've started to get way more deeply plumbing the depths of like psychedelic music and like krautrock and like prog stuff, you know. And I think after having this, you know, getting like really into like really out there, like, I don't know, bands like Held On from France, or like fucking like Ash Ra even, or something that's like almost new age, and just like really, and then stuff that's like really just like trippy and scary too. I have like this different appreciation for what Goblin was doing, because like, you know, when I was younger, like, and I was getting into the Suspiria soundtrack, it was just like nothing sounds like this. This is like such unique music, and I still do agree with that in some way, but like now I have this like appreciation for a lot of other stuff that actually is like similar to what Goblin does, you know, in general. So like re-listening to the Suspiria soundtrack, it's like I'm appreciating how fucking crazy it is, because even just the title track, you know, like it's like they got the scary, like almost like music box kind of like, you know, theme, but then they just go into this like fucking insane, like ripping ass, like, you know, up tempo, like almost like funky, just like din, 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 din.
Yes, but it still sounds creepy though.
It's very creepy. Yeah, no, exactly. Somehow they managed to like to balance like the creepiness while still getting like really like hard and also like kind of funky and like weird, you know?
Yeah. They're really good at building up that atmosphere, and you know,
for
keep
sure.
that fucking funky ass sound. It's really fucking awesome, man.
Yeah, I think like, but and it's Tenebrae too. It's like there's songs on that soundtrack. I mean, I'm not talking about that necessarily, but like the Tenebrae theme song, I think is like an amazing, like a, you know, Italo disco, like.
Oh yeah.
But there's some other songs in that song, like the song "Flashing," that's like this, like it's like a techno song. You know, it sounds like it sounds like you could like I could like be at the club just like to that shit, you know, like but it's like still really spooky sounding. And then there's like another song on that record that's it's a total ripoff. I didn't realize until recently that it's a total ripoff of "Don't Fear the Reaper," and it's really good. It's like a cool.
That's funny, because I was going to say how like Blue Oyster Cult on like some of their records managed to sound scary, even though their songs are poppy.
Yeah.
So there's definitely
even a song like what's my favorite? "Flaming Telepaths." You know, like it's like it's like the lyrics are just creepy enough, and the vibe. It's like this kind of poppy song, but they'll like switch it just so slightly where it kind of just puts like an off color to what they're doing. Offsets the poppiness and makes it kind of creepy. But back to Suspiria, you know, like some of the other tracks on this, like Marcos and Size, that are just these like, it's like blam 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 blam, like ooh, like really really kind of shit. Like they really hit. Like, and rewatching Suspiria, you know, I've never really thought Suspiria was like that scary of a movie, you know. It's more just like really unnerving. and like stressful. But like when I rewatched it, like recently, there were parts actually that did like make me jump a bit. I'm like, oh shit! And the music has a lot to do with that. The music is like, it's so off-putting, you know, and it's so loud in the movie, you know, that you can't help but be kind of just like, even though the movie's so flashy and kind of like beautiful to look at, you're just like shaken by this, you know.
I think like Argento is such like a eerie visual stylist that like the pairing of that with Goblin's music just like makes the tension that much more like, you know, like when you watch the movie, you know,
for sure. Yeah, you're just like, oh, like,
and you can enjoy that record without ever seeing the movie. You can still
yeah, definitely. The soundtracks definitely stand alone.
For sure. You can just bang those records out without ever seeing those movies. But like this record especially, I think, is like actually there's some like weird, I don't know, I think it happens with like some of the best like black metal or something too, where they're like the shit that's just like really, there's some kind of like magical quality to it that's this like underlying kind of like evil there, like in the intention of the music. Like that's like something that's like you can like, it's like almost like palpable, or like it's like you hear it through the music and you're like, and I think the record is like dripping with that kind of atmosphere, you know.
Definitely ominous,
scary, very ominous, you know. And you know, I'm a big Halloween fan, you know, like I like to get into the mood. I like to like really bask myself in the creepy vibes, you know, at this time of the year when, you know, the veil between worlds is thin, you know. And this record really, it's doing it for me, you know. It's been a minute since I really delved into it, but it's been doing it for me the last 2 months.
I've got this other one. It's called it's a Japanese one. It's called Suspiria 2 Profundo Rosso. It's great. It's not as good as that.
It's not. Is it Deep Red?
Yeah. Yes. Yeah.
I love that soundtrack too. But that's funny because it's Deep Red. You know, that came out in '75. It came out before Suspiria, but I know in Japan it was released afterwards.
It's called Suspiria 2. Yeah.
That's crazy.
Yeah.
And
it confused me. And I was like, why is it called Suspiria 2? Doesn't make any sense. But
it makes no sense. These movies are not related. But
they actually played last week here in Dallas, and usually what they do
every time.
I know, like it seems like they come like almost every fucking 3 months here.
Yeah,
but they did like I think they were doing like Demons too.
Yeah, they're doing Demons, right?
Yeah, Demons. Yeah, and like it's cool because like Texas theater is kind of like where we go to watch all the fucking B horror movies and shit, and it's kind of like a Texas landmark because that's where Lee Harvey Oswald was arrested after the JFK assassination. So that's where they picked him up. But it's sick. So they usually like have shows and concerts like that, and Goblin always pulls up there. So it's cool because they show up, they have enough room on the stage before the screen, in front of the screen, so they set up there and they play to the movie. Yeah, and so it's like fucking really cool ass experience.
That's so sick. Yeah, I'm like kicking myself in the ass for missing them every time they've come here because they've done Suspiria multiple times. They did Demons this year, and the Demons soundtrack is fucking cool too. That shit's like really funky. It's like
it's great.
Like hip hop almost, kind of like it's good. Yeah, it's
like Roller's good too. Roller's another good one too.
Oh, Roller's really good. That's their record. That's not even for a movie. You know, it's just like a Goblin record. Yeah.
Great band, great discography. Celebrate the entire discography. Maybe
definitely.
Great band. Yeah. How am I going to pitch this? Does anyone have a band that like everyone around you loves, and they think they kind of know what you're into and your tastes, and they don't understand like why you don't like this particular band? Because I just couldn't get into this band for like years and years and years, and everyone was like completely confused. It's like, this is like totally like up your alley. It's like it's got all the things that you love, but why don't you like them? I don't know what it was. It's like it was weird. Maybe it's like people were pushing me too hard to like them. I was having like, nah, back off, dudes. It's like, you know, kind of thing. I don't know. And I was like, they're okay, not that great. And I bought the record and I bought some of the singles. And then just a couple of days ago, I bought this kind of like discography, like double LP. And then it just, for some reason, it just like totally clicked for me. And I was like, yeah, this is amazing. All you guys probably like this band. I'm probably the last one to the party with this band. It's The Blood.
Oh yeah,
dude.
Right.
right?
Yeah.
I fucking love the Blood, man.
Yeah, I know. It's
Yeah.
crazy. And I was like, last night, I was like, why didn't I like really love this band like back in the 80s and more recent times? Like, it doesn't make any sense. Like,
yeah, I showed a Megalomania the last time I was on the show.
You did,
Oh,
yeah. And I probably said good things about it, but I still wasn't fully on board.
Okay.
But this is like a radiation reissues thing. Maybe it's not a bootleg, but I don't know. I'm not going to get into that too much. But it's just got the way it plays out. It's got the first two singles, and then like the 12-inch, and then all the comp tracks. It just plays perfectly the way it's like laid out. It's just, I mean, I don't know. What was I thinking? Like all these years.
They did a lot of crazy shit too. Like they would use synth and like, you know, in addition to the guitar solos and it's wacky shit.
Guitar leads, yeah. Like
yeah.
Definitely a wacky vibe band, you know.
I kept saying, I always felt there was like a bit of a jokey vibe to this band. I didn't like it before, and there is a little bit of that.
Yeah.
The way I always like sort of like describe them is they're kind of like they discovered the damned machine gun etiquette, but sort of like weren't good enough at their instruments to like play, you know, like
yeah, they can't get the down the junior. They didn't have any big hits. They never got big, but
of course,
like every song is amazing. Like one after another. Like the Megalomania single, the Start Raving normal single, and then the 12-inch might be my favorite. It's like more like new wave British heavy metal.
Interesting.
Yeah.
I'd love, and it's got like the drummer, like Mark Brabs from Tank, like plays on like half the songs.
Yeah.
I don't know what's going on there, but it's like just hit after hit. Like, you
know, actually, I'd never heard that band until we toured with Crude because they were just listening to that like every time we were in the van, just nonstop. It was like a lot of Oi, a lot of Motorhead, and the Blood. And I was like, what is this, dude? I never heard this shit. And they're like,
that
dude,
makes total sense.
They're like, man, it's the Blood. It's the Blood. I was like, oh, fuck. All right. So, like, yeah, they fucking were the ones that got me onto the Blood.
That's funny, man. But it's funny because, like, a lot of the, like, almost all of the compilation tracks are from, like, The Joy of Oi and Oi, like, Chartbusters and Oi, that's what I call music. But this ain't Oi. So
it's not. It's, I mean, I guess you could, I mean, I don't know how they got lumped in with a lot of like Oi.
Well, they're on Riot City, you know.
Yeah. That makes sense.
I think they were mates with Gary Bushell, and like there's a lot.
Didn't Evo? You know, one of the guys is like a droog, right? Come on, like
But, you know, this picture kind of sums up, you know, like maybe why it's like it's a little bit goofy, a little bit wacky.
Yeah.
But like, once you get down to it, the songs are amazing. So.
You know, it's nice when a band doesn't always take themselves so seriously.
True.
Yeah. I mean, I think they're kind of jokey in a kind of way that, like, almost Poison Idea does the same thing. They don't take themselves too seriously a little bit. Sometimes they throw a little, you know, things that are just, you know, very tongue in cheek in the music without being too overtly serious.
Even the Damned, I guess, were kind of like joking around too a lot, right? So
yeah,
right. I don't know why.
Silly.
Right.
Just silly ass blokes, the Damned, you know.
Blokes, silly blokes down the pub. It's like, yeah. I think Dan was right there. They were connected with like Gary Bushell and stuff, and the Gonads, and like.
Oh, okay.
Yeah.
That makes sense.
There's another compilation that just came out after this called like Blood, and it's called Splattered, but it just has like it's like a greatest hits thing. This is much better. It's like almost it's like the discography, but all the best. Stuff in order. This is great. This is really well done. Even though it's on Radiation Reissues, kind of a grey area record label, but
can be.
Can be. Yeah. Didn't they put like a picture of like the Icons of Filth or something on the back of their Exit Stance reissue, or the other way around, or something?
I don't even know about that.
Something like that. They put like Exit Stance as the big picture on the back of the Icons of Filth record, or something like that.
We just got those Exit Stance records at Sorry State, so I'll have to check
let us know in the comments. It's one of those. They made a big fuck up with the photo on one of those reissues.
Oh, it's terrible.
You guys at Sorry State caught that?
But
it might have been us. We might have been.
It might be a different one, but it definitely happened. It could be on the Icons. It's something like that. They got the wrong band photo on like one of the reissues. So,
damn.
But they did a good job with the Blood. So fair play to them for putting that Blood record out because it's got me into the Blood. So
that's funny.
Hell yeah.
Oh yeah.
Cheers.
Cheers, everyone.
Cheers. It's been a while since I've actually felt like I want to go to the toilet on an episode.
I gotta go too. I'm gonna go right now.
We'll take it in turns. We can't all go at the same time.
Yeah,
Okay,
yeah.
I'm going right now.
That's going first.
All right, everyone's breaking the seal.
Maybe let's wait till Dan. Maybe let's wait till Jeff comes back for Dan's next pick.
Yeah.
Maybe. Like,
Oh, yeah.
What should we talk about?
Sure.
I don't know.
Let's see.
Blood
Dan,
Money.
you watch any good movies lately?
Movies. Actually, no, I haven't. I haven't seen anything that's really blown my mind lately. I've been so busy working and you know, like we went and saw Skinny Puppy on Wednesday. I took my
That's right. You just
Dan, what's
saw
that behind you? Is that a poster or a T-shirt? You got behind you?
It's my.
I thought it was a
fiance's
throw
t-shirt.
pillow.
Yeah, yeah, that'd be sick if it was. I would totally buy a Skinny Puppy fucking throw pillow. But yeah, that's one of the tour shirts that they had, and she wanted it, so I was like, yeah. I was like,
yo, how
go
sick were they?
They're fucking awesome, man. So like, they had like a whole like stage like performance.
Crazy.
So,
The thing with the alien like getting tortured.
yeah.
Oh, it's so
They
cool.
had like a projection of Lamb, like you know the entity that fucking was it Anton LaVey supposedly conjured, and it looks like a gray alien. So like, there's like this demon following him around and injecting him with like crazy ass fluids, and at one point they cut his fucking throat, and there's like neon green fucking blood just oozing all over the goddamn place.
They're so
sick,
that stage presence, it's incredible, man. I saw that their last New York show. I guess I forgot what that was. A couple months ago, maybe, or maybe it was like in the springtime. But it was fucking awesome. Holy shit! I'm so happy I got to see it before they stopped.
Yeah, me too. It's their I think it's their final tour ever. I think they're done. Yeah. Skinny Puppy.
Right on.
Yeah. Dude, yeah, they're so fucking sick. Like my mind was kind of blown. Also, it's funny because you know, Peter is like a huge industrial, like he's obsessed. Like Peter, Skinny Puppy is like one of his favorite bands. He's like much more deep the lore than I am. But just it's funny talking to Peter about it because he's like, dude, I can't like before and after. He's like them playing songs off of Too Dark Park. He's like, those guys were just in the studio, strung out on like so much fucking heroin, just like pressing random buttons, like bleep bloop, like you know what I mean? How could they possibly recreate this shit live? And when they played some songs off of it, you know, they did a pretty good job. But
yeah, that's bizarre, dude. That's so crazy because like like when they play live too, and you're sitting there and like it's just like in your face, you're like, man, how the fuck do they come up with this shit? You know, it's like
bizarre, such bizarre music, dude. Like, I love it. They're fucking awesome.
It's fucking great. I'm so glad we got to see it. It was at the House of Blues in Dallas, and I used to work there, so fortunately we got hooked up with like some cool seats and like just a bunch of fucking beer. Got way too wasted, and then like last night was the show, so I'm fucking like, well, now not anymore. I'm like I'm feeling the same over right now.
We're all a little bit hungover, right? I'm a little bit hungover. Mateo's a little bit hungover. Jeff's
I'm a lot hungover. Oh my God.
All right, let's get back on track. Dan, you're up, right?
All right, cool. So I chose this record because, you know, like I was going through that stack of Japanese hardcore records, of course, and like the last one, the Ford record, I revisited this one too because, you know, it's kind of a oddball. Like I don't think I've really discussed this particular band with a lot of people that really know what it is. But it's a 7-inch called Balance. This band called Balance, and like
you put me onto that. That shit's
yeah. And so the cool thing is like it's very much like Hakodate hardcore. So like when people say, you know, Japanese hardcore, they might think like Burning Spirits or, you know, any kind of adjacent style. But to me, like Hakodate Saw hardcore is just so unique in its own right. Like bands like Crude, Mustang, Balance, Answer, Ete, they all have this like very similar sound. And like, in fact, the guitar player of this band was in Ete and Crude also. So, and the rest of the Crude dudes and Mustang dudes do gang vocals on this. Oh, so this came out on Bloodsucker Records in Japan in '99. So like if you like Crude, if you like all that stuff that came out during that era, like all the really heavy like solo-y, you know, epic sounding Crude stuff, you fucking love this. It's like 3 songs. I got this. This is kind of like a bargain bin record when I saw it.
Don't know why.
Yeah, I know. It was like 1,000 yen, and it was crazy because I got this from Dish Shop Misery, Guy's record shop.
Yeah.
So he actually hooked it up with like some stickers and shit with this. He was like, "Oh, you know what this is?" I was like, "Dude, yeah, it's fucking great record." And I finally found it. I was like, "Yes, I'm buying this." And he was like, "Dude, yeah, here, take some stickers, enjoy it." You're like, "Here you go." And like, yeah. So if you like anything around that crude sound, that very distinct Hakodate sound, you've got to hear this. And it's on YouTube too. So if you don't want to spend $40 on a fucking, a copy of it, which the price has gone up by now, but like, you gotta hear this shit. It's fucking sick. It's got very like it's got the gang vocals, it's got the 6 solos. It's only 3 songs. I don't know. They only did 1 EP and then like a split with like this band called UCA, I think.
UCA, yeah, that's right. Yeah.
So I can't remember. Like, I think that's all they've done. That was it. So very. Are
they on any of like the any comp tracks or anything?
I don't think so. I think this is like 1 EP, 1 split, and they're done. Yeah. But I mean, of course, if you want to hear some more of this sound, there's other bands like Ete and Mustang that this guitar player has been involved with, and Crude, of course. So, if you're in love with that stuff, man, this is a must. You gotta hear this shit. It's right up there. I put it out. I think this is as important sounding as all those other records. So if you're into that shit, definitely fucking check this stuff.
That's cool. Yeah, I don't know it. Like all the bands you're describing, I like those bands. So like I gotta.
Yeah, like that Dan said, if you're a fan of all those bands, that one is an absolute like must.
Cool.
For sure.
Mm-hmm. Yeah. Fuck yeah.
That's I'd forgotten about that record. I've got to say but it's great.
Yeah, I love Hakodate too, because like it's kind of like that area of Japan is like kind of like how I grew up. It's like a little bit in the country, and bunch of they call themselves. They're like, oh yeah, we're rednecks too. So like they love to fish, they love to barbecue, they like to go do shit like that. Yeah. So they're stoked on like when the crew came to Texas, we took them out to the country and like did all the same shit. So Hakodate's got a really soft spot for me because it's just a different side of Japan than Tokyo and all that other stuff.
I kind of picked up that you guys really loved going up there, and didn't you like play like a house show with like Gizm and Crude or something like that? That was some crazy ass shit.
They flew us up to play in Hakodate, and we played a fucking house show. It's like this shack in the middle of the woods where the Crude guys practice at, like Crude and Mustang, they practice there. So there's about maybe 50 or 60 people crammed in this fucking living room, and it was my old band Obstruction played. So it was like in 2017. Yeah, so like it was Obstruction, Rags, Mustang, Crude, Death Side, and Gizm.
In a living room, right? In the
living room. It's fucking insane, dude.
Fucking crazy.
Yeah.
I remember seeing that flyer and thinking, "Oh my god, that's gonna be a crazy show."
Yeah, it was nuts too, because like they didn't tell us that Gizm was gonna be on the show until we're like a day before the show. Wow. They're like, "Oh yeah, special guest," and I was like,
"By the way."
Yeah.
Never heard of him.
Yeah. There's a little local band called Gizm. We hopped on the show. I hope you guys don't mind.
Yeah, it's on Bloodsucker. It's on Bloodsucker, right? That balance.
Yeah, Bloodsucker.
It's on Bloodsucker Records. Bloodsucker.
Mm-hmm.
Bloodsucker. Yeah. There you go. All right.
Nice. Yeah. Like so, and it's cool because like I got this in Hiroshima, so it's got at Dish Shop Misery, which is like Guy's record shop. Fucking sick ass record shop, man. If you guys are ever in Hiroshima, definitely check that fucking place out because you'll find some gems out there. And I think one of the last times we were there, we met up with Guy in front of his shop, and we saw one of his buddies beat the shit out of somebody in the middle of a fucking street. Some kind of, I don't know, some weird Yakuza beef or something went down. But he was like that guy that after he got through doing the ass beating came up to us, and we're like, he was like, Dan, where you're going it's very dangerous. And I was like, oh, okay. And he fucking gave me this goddamn, it's like a fucking pick or something. I don't even know what the fuck this is, man. Yeah. It's like a big pointy ended fucking, he was like using it as a weapon. He was like, yeah, take this. So I was like, all right. So I just had this.
Hanging about the mean streets of Hiroshima?
Yeah, dude. It's fucking I got it back to America. I was like, dude, I'm keeping this shit, dude.
Yeah, dude, that's sick. You're like, I got my balance record and this murder weapon.
Yeah. Yeah, I hit a lick in Hiroshima, man. It's sick.
Jeff, you were going to say something? Or?
Oh, sorry. Yeah, I just heard you mention that you're in that band Obstruction, man. I love that tape.
Oh, thanks, man. Thank you so much. Yeah. That was me and Chris and our friend Matt Preston, who passed away. But yeah, YJ from Guerra is also in that band. So it's kind of like what we did after Obstruction was Guerra. So
gotcha.
Cool. But of course, like Chris, guitar player, he's a fucking hardcore punk freak, but he plays in Frozen Soul. So like after he joined that band, there's like almost no, they're like, yeah, dude, go off, man. You're gonna be like touring the fucking world, dude. Like, go for it.
We'll get to him in a bit, actually. My last pick.
Oh, yeah. All right, hell yeah, cool.
Yeah. All right, Jeff, what you got?
All right. So, I mean, for me, a lot of the times, like if I can't sit through a hardcore LP, but I don't want to listen to one band for the entire length of a hardcore record, sometimes it's hard to do. And I don't want to be up every 5 seconds changing 7 inches. I go for comps. So comps are like one of my favorite things to listen to. And one of the ones I always reach for is It Came From Slimy Valley.
Oh.
Yeah, it's like a sort of like a Mystic Records, like Doug Moody type deal, you know? But like for me, it's like, I don't know, something about the look of this record, just like I always reach for it because it's just like, it looks so fucking cool, man. You know, it's got that like, it's Mad Mark Rude artwork, and I just love the look of it, you know, with that like bright lime green. And then like all this like, you know, what I call like punk porn, like with just like the quad of like people all over the back, you know? Like bands on this record, you know, it's like a lot of like sort of what I guess you call like hardcore bands. There's like Dr. No and False Confession and bands like that. But also some of the best tracks by like bands like the Flower Leopards.
That's Tony Adolescent, right?
Yeah, but I think the songs on this comp is before he was in.
Okay.
Yeah.
Right.
But then most importantly, this is one of the 3 compilation appearances by underrated like California band America's Hardcore. Like I just think they're like one of the most ripping bands to only ever have 3 songs appear on a record ever across 3 different comps.
Isn't that wasn't one of the guys in Crucifix too? America's Hardcore?
Yeah, it was. I'm pretty sure.
Okay. Yeah. Sick.
I think so. Maybe because like Crucifix was big, right? Yeah, because America's Hardcore I think was like LA, but
that makes sense that it would be not. Why would it be the same guy? But maybe I'm thinking of a different band.
Yeah, let us know in the comments. Let us know in the comments.
But I'm pretty sure, like, I don't know, like, I mean, this comp is amazing, but to just keep harping on America's Hardcore, apparently, like, they had a whole record's worth of stuff that was supposed to come out, and what I hear is that Radio Raheem is supposed to do it at some point.
They're the people to do it. If anyone's going to do it,
they'll sure. So look forward to that. If maybe, you know. But like,
nice.
I don't know.
Fuck yeah.
I don't know. Like, I'm definitely a sucker for like sort of just like Southern California hardcore punk. It's just my shit, you know. Throw it on. Sometimes it's a little more tuneful than it is like heavy, you know. But I love that. I love like sort of like just like, kind of song-based hardcore from that.
There is something about it. There is something about it. Like that.
But I feel like it's still coming from Ramones, you know. Like, or like, you know, it's still got a punk feel versus like a hardcore punk feel, you know, like which I think is sick, you know.
To quote a good buddy of mine, beach punks do it better, you know. So. No, I don't know. It's just something about it. It's like maybe they're just more laid back or something. I have no idea. On the East Coast,
I know it's weird. There's also like a darkness in there too. I mean, the adolescence and even Agent Orange. I don't know. Maybe it's just me, but it does.
I mean, especially like you know, like a lot of those bands sort of like had like sort of even a darkness to the sound later on. I mean, especially like TSOL and bands.
Yeah, I mean, there's like a fellowship between like Southern California hardcore and like death rock, you know, and goth.
Yeah,
definitely.
You know what? Like, even though this is like primarily like just like a ripping hardcore record, you can hear some of that in some of the bands.
Yeah, it's got the vibe for sure. Just from the artwork, you know.
I mean that like that compa Hell Comes to Your House, I feel like is the perfect example.
Yes,
Yeah.
I've got that down there. It's great.
Yeah, it's great.
Yeah. I haven't got that one though. I would definitely buy that if I saw that in Disc Union.
Because it just looks fucking. You know?
I'm down with the lime green for sure. I'm down.
Yeah, the cover looks sick as fuck, man.
It's just funny because like the thing's like a pun too, because I think it's like a lot of the people were from like Simi Valley, but it's like it came from Slimy Valley.
Oh, okay. Hell yeah.
Yeah. All right.
Nice.
Hell yeah.
All right.
Okay. Me?
All right. Yes, Mateo, what's your?
All right. So for my next pick, I'm further straying away entirely from guitar music. I'm going into some fucking salsa, baby.
Oh yeah.
Willie Colon and Hector Lavoe's record Vigilancia, which
Educate me.
or
Yes.
Vigilante actually. As you can tell, this is like some gangster ass shit.
Yeah.
Fuck yeah.
There we go. Yeah, take it out of the sleeves, you can see it better. Yeah, it's a gun. So this is Fania Records. This is like classic New York salsa. This is like the epitome, I think, of that sound in a lot of ways. Willie Colon and Hector Lavoe had this like very fruitful relationship where they did a ton of stuff together, made a bunch of records together, like starting in the 60s. And they were basically, these guys were like young as hell. From what I understand, salsa music, like what we think of as salsa music, originated in New York, but it was a mix of a bunch of sounds from Cuba, Puerto Rico, Colombia, Dominican Republic, but like salsa as like a genre in its own came to in New York, like in the 60s, because there was bands doing, like there was Tito Puente and there was a bunch of stuff that was kind of this ballroom, like big band ballroom stuff that was doing, Latin music stuff that was dance hall stuff. And then like people like Willie Colon came up and he was like 16 years old. He's from like the hood in the Bronx. And he's mad young and he plays trombone and he's like a band leader. And basically his sound was so kind of brutal, that some of the old guard was just like, no. But there was something there. So Fania Records was started in the 60s by this Dominican band leader, Johnny Pacheco, and this other guy, Jerry Masucci, who was like a Italian, just like New York guy. And they wanted to bring, these guys didn't always love what the younger guys were doing, but they were like, but it was popular. So they were like, fuck it. We'll produce your records, let's go. Willie Colon then ends up teaming up with Hector Lavoe, who is a singer. He's from Puerto Rico. He's from Ponce, Puerto Rico. He moves to New York in the 60s. He's like a jíbaro, which is like basically like it's like a campesino, kind of like a, he's from like the countryside in PR, like a, not a redneck, but you know what I mean, but a country bumpkin, like in a lot of ways. Yeah. And he goes to New York and he's like in the hood in the Bronx, and Willie Colon is like from that, and they start making these records together. They pare down the band shit, so it goes from like big band to like a much smaller group of just like 3 players, and it strips the sound down. It gets harder, and it's like, I mean, it's a much more hard hitting sound. And then eventually, like the lyrics become more about like street level reality too. It's like less love songs and more about like, like life in the hood, and like, so that I mean that's going on since the 60s, and they made a bunch of fucking amazing records together, like in the 60s and 70s, and then they split ways in like the mid 70s. But this record is from 83, so this is like a reunion of sorts between the two later on, and it's only 4 songs. All the songs are good, but the hit song on here for me is Juanito Alemania. It's the one that starts side B. And the guy who wrote the lyrics is this guy, Tite Cure Alonso, who is from Puerto Rico, who wrote the lyrics for fucking hundreds of salsa songs. And in Juanito Alemania, basically it's a story of a gangster. Like it's like the story of this dude who's just bad, like really bad, and but this is like classic, like in New York, especially like in the summertime, especially. I mean, it's not summer now, but like, I feel like there's a point in the spring when like, that first like nice day after the winter, there's like the one, the first, like, maybe it's early spring, and it's like the one day that's like above 50 or something. Like, you fucking hear that song blasting still to this day. Like, you hear people fucking blasting Juanito Alemania.
That's sick.
And it is just like a fucking banger. I mean, this is it's music that's made for dancing, and like my salsa dancing is very bad. I admit it. I can kind of fake it. I can fake it. I can do the steps pretty good. But like it's hard to listen to that and not want to fucking like move a little bit, like and the lyrics, are about this like street level gangster shit about this guy who goes around robbing, killing with impunity. His cousin's a cop, so every time he goes to jail, he's out the next day, like that kind of shit. Like, and dude, it's just like a hard ass record. I mean, obviously, it looks pretty hard, like I feel like they took this duo especially, but like salsa music in general did, in New York City, it took a turn from like the kind of like lovey-dovey shit into like this street level shit, that like also presaged like hip hop in a lot of ways, because like in the early onset of hip hop, being born in New York, it was like, first of all, born in the Bronx, where it was like, it was like Black and Puerto Rican people together at house parties, blasting salsa records and blasting soul records, writing graffiti and just barely surviving, really, but also partying in the middle of that. And this is part of that like makeup of the sounds of like New York, So I love this shit. I mean, I'm a big fan of salsa music in general. I'm a big fan of Latin music in general. I grew up hearing this stuff, and in the past, like in my adult life, is like when I really started to like actually get down with it on my own, because I grew up with it, and I was into like other, I got to punk, so I was like, that shit's cool, but like whatever, I don't care that much about it. But as an adult, I've really delved into it on my own, and I love it. And yeah, I also like, I remember growing up, my next door neighbor played bass, like he played electric bass, and he played salsa. I would hear him practicing next door, and that was always like cool, because I'd be like, damn, this guy can really play some fucking bass, and I want to like try to play that shit. And every time I sit down to try to play some salsa bass, that shit is hard as fuck. And I tried to learn Juanito Alemania like a couple years ago, and I got like a couple measures in before I was kind of like stumped. I was like, dude, this is like really hard to play. But anyway, like, if you want like hard hitting salsa, Juanito Alemania from this record is the shit. Like if somebody was like, if like any of you were like to ask me like one salsa song just to like kind of like kick it for you, like if you were like curious, I would be like, that would be like one of the top 5 songs that I would say, if not the one, So yeah.
Didn't you play some of that for us when we were on the road?
Oh, I definitely did. Yeah.
Yeah. I remember that.
Yeah.
I thought it was really cool, because I was going to ask you, like, I really think it was kind of fascinating how like it kind of steps away from the lovey-dovey stuff and it's just street music. And and I love that. It's like, that's like indigenous people's music is like, the stories that we tell, like from our
it becomes like folk storytelling, in a way.
Yeah, exactly.
And it just so happened, it's like people are like, a lot of the lovey-dovey stuff is like, that's fine, it's all good. That shit's also still there. It's like they were still making lovey-dovey songs, but they just weren't scared to make songs that were about like the actual realities faced, just daily living shit. And then I would say this is even a step further into kind of like, this is more even in like the gangster rap realm of like storytelling about some shit that's just bad. Even if you're not involved, but you're still going to be like, I'm going to tell a story about like some like bad dude, like who's like a character in the lives that we have to live because we're here,
Yeah.
That's funny, because a few weeks ago, like Ebro from Crudas was on, and he showed a flamenco record, and he was kind of saying similar things that you were saying right now.
Oh, cool! Hell yeah!
He's like, it was a flamenco record, and then he was like talking about it, and then we understood what he was.
Yeah, that's it.
Saying, right? Yeah.
Hell yeah, dude.
Yeah.
Yeah.
And like what, Mateo, what year did you say that record's from?
That one's from 83.
83.
So yeah, like I said, it's like they had their most fruitful years together. That pair was like, I would say maybe I think it's like 67 to maybe like 73 or 74.
Mm-mm.
And then they split off. And Hector Lavoe made a bunch of solo records that are, you know, fucking amazing. And Willie Colon did a bunch of other stuff that with other people that's amazing too. He did this record with the Panamanian singer Ruben Blades that actually was in the late 70s. That was like Ruben Blades, he wrote a lot of his own songs, like lyrics, and very political, you know, like very much like Latino unity in the face of like oppression, you know. So it became this more conscious thing. Willie Colon, unfortunately, these days is like a fucking asshole. He's a reactionary piece of shit. But I mean, the music he made is like long standing. It's like, you know, I feel like if anybody was like that, if you ever asked anybody to put on a salsa song, you know, I would say 9 out of 10 times it might be a Willie Colon song, you know, like about some classic salsa. And then so Hector also made a bunch of records with other people. They're all great. Willie Colon would usually like write or arrange a couple tracks on those records. But that record, yeah, it's like kind of like them reuniting after about almost a decade of not really having an actual record together.
Right.
That's cool.
Nice.
Yeah, finding out records, you know, that's like
I'm gonna definitely keep an eye. I've definitely seen Willie Colon records on my travels, that for sure. I'm sure he's pretty prolific, right? So
he has a lot of records. But I mean, like a lot of them are good, you know, especially if we're talking early 80s and before. Especially 60s, 70s, like I mean, just grab them. They're fucking great, you know.
Oh yeah.
All right.
I gotta take a leak.
All right. Dan's turn.
Take a regular break.
Dan's turn. Oh, what are you guys drinking? By the way, I didn't ask you. I'm drinking this. It's a Japanese. It's one of my favorites. People have seen this Japanese wheat beer.
A beautiful can. Yeah.
Thank you. Weizen, like German style.
Nice. Oh yeah, I got I feel like I had a michelada earlier. I'm very hungover, like I said. I don't know. I think I went to sleep at like 11 a.m. or something.
Oh my god.
Yeah, maybe it could have been later. I don't fucking know. But I'm deciding to treat myself right. I brought a little bottle of fancy, you know, orange wine.
Fitting for this show.
Yeah,
yes.
That I'm mixing with some Canada Dry seltzer and making myself some spritzes.
Very cool.
In my I just burned my couch. Whatever. In my little Puerto Rico goblet.
No Aperol, but you know.
It's no Aperol. You're right. Yeah. Damn, that would have been the fucking move, Jeff.
That would have been so sick if we both were just like
coordinated this shit, man. We should be drinking Aperol spritzes. What the fuck?
Yeah, we fucked up for real.
Jeff and I, like since Warthog and Public Acid went on tour, like we have a group chat that is literally at this point just an Aperol spritz fan chat. Like 90% of the shit is just people sending each other photos of each other drinking Aperol spritzes. It's lovely.
I feel like Kai really keeps it alive. You know,
Kai really does keep it alive. Like I haven't sent a spritz pic in forever. I haven't had an Aperol spritz in a long time, actually. Maybe later tonight. You know.
There you go.
Yeah. I'll send a picture of that for sure.
When you're still up at like 11 a.m., just send your.
Oh God, if I'm up at 11 a.m. tomorrow and I haven't slept, fucking kill me, man.
Yeah, don't do that.
Can't do that again.
Yeah. All right, last round.
Let's go.
Mateo's wearing the Possessed long sleeve there. Death metal has been mentioned like once or twice, I think, in conversation so far. I know, man. Like I dabble in death metal. I have dabbled over the years. I've never been like a super fan. I don't buy like every record that comes out. I've got kind of my favorite styles. I like all the classics. You know, Possessed being one of them. Death. You know, Bolt Thrower. I like all the classic '90s stuff. And then there's like a huge gap where I don't know anything. And then there's like I picked up on it again when like $20 spin and labels like that start to put out like more like modern day current bands, and some of them are just so good that I did go on like a bit of a spree of like buying anything that like Dark Descent or like $20 spin or like those kind of would put out, and I kind of not regret doing that because like I have more quality control these days. Let's just put it that way. So I'm not buying everything that those labels put out, but like this year I've got like 3 like death metal records that I think are really great, and one of them I did say that Chris would come up Dan, and I've talked about this on the show already, but like the Frozen Soul.
Oh hell yeah, dude! Fuck yeah!
I've talked about it before, but it's just so groovy. It really is, and people kind of look at me weird, but it's got to have a groove to it for me, like death metal, like Bolt Thrower did, man. It's groovy.
Yeah. They're heavily influenced by Bolt Thrower for sure. I mean, there's a lot of other influences there, but yeah, they're hitting the mark on that for sure.
Groove is the key for me, and it's just like when I say like Black Sabbath is funky. That's what makes them one of the things that makes it so great. So it's got to be groovy. So yeah. So Frozen Soul and Torture Rack. Both these have been mentioned already on the show, so I'm just like refreshing people. Torture Rack. It's a kind of brutal, like cavernous death metal, but super catchy. This is a $20 spin thing. Came out this year. But the one I'm going to show is this is a band. I guess it kind of blew up. They kind of blew up a little bit. They're kind of pretty popular. They're from Toronto. People either really like them or they really don't like them. I don't know why. There seems to be like a bit of a divide about this band. I think they're amazing. It's the new record from Tomb Mold.
Okay. Yeah. I've seen people talk a lot of shit about that record.
Right?
Yeah.
Because they did a stylistic change on this new album.
Oh, okay.
So the older stuff is like more like groove based and cavernous and grimy and slimy and like, this record they put like more like, I'm going to use these words and don't be scared, like progressive and technical. They've kind of gone back to like maybe Cynic and like bands like, like Cynic and like maybe mid-period Death and maybe some Atheists. So there's like a lot of like clean guitars over the top. Like they take it a little bit easier, but at the same time they kind of start off with like a blast beat like straight out of the gate, which they really didn't do before. But they've definitely sat down and thought we can't keep making like the same record like again and again and again and again. We've got to like kind of do something like different. But I love it. I think it's great. It's like it's still catchy. It still has a groove to it. But they've got like these like technical and like progressive elements which some people don't like. But it's still catchy and it still has a groove to it. So I'm very on. Yeah, like Diego, it's a very divisive record. Yeah, people either really like it or they're like, fuck this band, I'm not going to follow this band anymore. Like my journey with this band is over now.
But is that like their third record?
It's their fourth LP. Yeah.
Okay.
Yeah, and the first three. I mean, the last one from like 2019 is a classic in my opinion. Like Planetary Clairvoyance.
Yeah. Right.
And this doesn't sound really like that. I mean, they still have a bit of that sound remaining, but there's way more like clean guitars and like I think it's a thing now that band Dream Unending does a similar kind of thing with like the psychedelic and the progressive rock and stuff creeping in. But I'm on board. I'm still on board the Tomb Mold train. So yeah.
That like kind of things into like Blood Incantation is kind of doing the same thing, right? Like,
but they just went and did like a Tangerine Dream like style record.
Yeah, right. That one record is like a krautrock record.
Yeah.
Good shit.
I'm a big fan of this band. I think they're great, and I kind of enjoy it. They did something like a little bit different. They couldn't just keep doing the same thing over and over and over again, I guess.
Oh yeah. Not to segue too much, but Tangerine Dream just played in Dallas at a fucking barbecue restaurant.
Wait, really?
What?
Yeah, at a fucking barbecue. No, I didn't get to go, man, but I saw fucking stories on Instagram, and like they also were doing this shitty thing where like they had a barricade set up for premium seating and nobody paid for it, so there's a huge gap in front of like Tangerine Dream and then the people watching it and just people eating barbecue in the background.
That like, doesn't.
People just like crazy shit I've ever heard, man.
Tangerine Dream is not barbecue band. Come on.
No. It's like you know, you want to be like in a dome that's like got space projected on the dome.
I want to be in a seat like fucking full of mushrooms in like a safe area. That's not at a barbecue restaurant.
No. But you're right. Like Blood Incantation did do like the Tangerine Dream. This isn't like it's still death metal, but they're going back and plucking out some old like influences from like the 90s, from like Atheist and Cynic, and putting it into their like old sound. I like it. I'm a fan, but divisive for sure. Yeah.
I didn't mean to derail. I was just like,
No, go ahead. No, go ahead.
I haven't heard it. I was wondering if it was like similar to that.
It's
like,
no. It's a death metal record, but they've got some other influences in. I think it's amazing. Like people either say it's their best record or it's their like worst record. So
I see.
So take your pick your king. Take your choice.
I'm so picky when it comes to death metal. I mean,
me too.
Blood Incantation, I actually love Blood Incantation, but it's like on paper, progressive technical death metal is like one of my least favorite types of music. And Blood Incantation is one band that is literally that I'm like, okay, the vibe is here, I can get down, And I actually really like their krautrock like Cosmiche side too. I think that's awesome. Like I think it's cool that they explore that. Paul Riedel's like solo stuff I think is really cool too.
Right.
But it's hard. It's hard for me with like a lot of.
It's got to be listenable. I feel like Two Mob were very listenable, and this is still listenable. It's not like way too busy where you don't know what the hell's going on. I'm going to give the perfect horrible example of like the type of music you're talking about, and that's that Gorguts Obscura record.
Yeah. I don't like that shit, man.
Yeah, that's a fucking great album.
Really?
I love. Okay. Listen.
Go ahead.
Gorguts Obscura is. I'm going to actually be honest. I've tried to listen to it once and I wasn't down. Considered Dead, I think is fucking incredible.
That's amazing. Yeah.
But that's like it's not the same type of shit. Their first shit though, I love. I think it's fucking amazing.
Yeah,
it's also got some of my favorite Dan Seagrave artwork ever. I think it's fucking.
It's amazing. For me, like that Obscura record, it's like it's so busy and so extreme. It's fucking. It's tough. It's a hard listen.
It's tough. Yeah, I can't. It's hard for me to get down.
Yeah. I think one of the things about what these bands are doing is like it almost has to kind of grow on you because there's so much going on with the music that you have to like take more than one face value listen to it.
Absolutely.
You actually have to like invest yourself into the music and
put on your thinking cap. And I feel
but sometimes I don't want to think.
A lot of times when I want to put on my thinking cap, it's like death metal's not the genre I'm going for.
Yeah, exactly.
Right. Exactly. I'll put on some like King Crimson Life bootleg or something.
Right, yeah. Like just like some crazy, like I was saying earlier, like I've been really into like crazy krautrock and like just bizarre prog rock shit.
Where you're kind of willing to think, right? I'm
just like, okay.
Death metal, I don't want to think about too much, right?
Yeah.
But just to clarify, this new Two Mob record doesn't sound like Gorguts Obscura. It doesn't.
Okay.
It doesn't. All right, that's my last pick. Let's move on. All right, Dan, what's your last pick?
All right, man. So I originally was going to pick a record that turned 50 this year, this being the 50th episode.
Oh, there you go.
Wow.
Yeah, so I thought about that, and I was like, well, we could all talk about this record, and we gush about it, how much we all love it, but I'm not going to talk about it. It's fucking Tres Hombres.
Okay.
My fucking
hell yeah.
ZZ
Top, baby.
Which like the cool thing is like this spread is fuck yeah.
Hell yeah.
This spread is actually from a restaurant in Arlington that still exists. So
what?
Yeah.
People love that cover. They want to know more about it. So it's from in Arlington. And it's still there.
Yeah. I believe it's called Campo Verde. So go there, and it's sick because this restaurant fucking actually decks their restaurant out like at Christmas time. It's just fucking it's like a fucking a Christmas section in a fucking Target just vomited all over the place. There's like lights and decorations just everywhere. But I wanted to talk about this. We all love this record, but I got something last night from YJ, and he recently took a trek up to Oklahoma City to go catch this Japanese band, and we talked a little bit on tour. But he was like all about it. At first, when I listened to this shit, I hated it. I fucking could not stand it. But this fucking tape, Death Row, and it's
that's like basically like one dude, right? It's
kind of It's I would say it's J rock and J pop by way of Japanese hardcore.
Yeah, nice pick.
So like
interesting. Yeah.
And it's like at first I was just like it kind of turned me off because it sounds like when you're listening or when you're watching like an anime and at the very end like you'll be watching the most depressive fucking anime and at the end of the fucking show they put on this like very like poppy fucking uplifting song. And that's exactly what this is. And it's like a shot of fucking serotonin just like straight to the brain. And I don't know, I started listening to it and I was like, you know what, I fucking like this, man. Like I'm in a bad mood, you know, I was like putting it on earlier this week, and I was like, dude, this is getting me going in a way, you know. It's corny as hell, but I fucking love it. And they just did a US tour.
Did they really? Wow.
Yeah, so I believe they went with another Japanese hardcore band, but the main singer, the one dude of the band, used to play in like, I think like Angel OD.
That's it.
Yeah.
Yes. Yeah.
Some Japanese hardcore bands I'm not really too familiar with.
It's
but
almost
then,
like not screamo, but it's like a different kind of scene.
Yeah. And it's like his backing band is also from the same scene too. So it's like, you know, J-pop, J-rock through via, you know, hardcore punk.
Yeah.
So I don't know, man. It's fascinating to me. I just like, it's really hooky, really poppy, infectious, you know, feel good music. So, you know, it's I just got this last night. YJ pulled up to the Zorn show and he was like, "Oh, Dan, I got you a tape." I was like, "Oh, fuck yeah, dude. Thank you so much." Like, I'm kind of upset I didn't get to make it to the show, because if you've ever seen any of the videos, like
he's like a real showman, right? Like,
exactly, yeah. So he's like, you know, going out in the crowd and like doing these like fucking like really he's very showy. So it's definitely something to be seen. And I was so upset I didn't get to go, but yeah, thanks YJ for hooking this up.
That's a great pick, man. That's like something that wouldn't ordinary. It's like Death Row without the W. It's a very interesting group, very interesting band for sure. Yeah. Yeah,
YJ was kind of laughing at the fact that like when they're here in the States, people were like Death Row, but in Japan they're like Desuro. And like kind of like the difference between that. Like, he's the one that turned me on to this, and like he loves it, and I was like, man, I really don't like this. And then the more I listened to it, I was like, you know, I fuck with this dude.
I think he has a lot of. Is that like a tour only tape thing, or?
I think so. Yeah, yeah. This is like a collection of like songs that have already been released in Japan.
Wow.
But yeah, I think this is just a tour only tape. So,
nice.
Yeah, it's got a cool little fucking pulled out fucking photo right here. Pretty cool.
And I've seen them before. I've seen videos of them where they're playing in this like tiny bar. He's playing like he's in front of like 50,000 people at like Shea Stadium. He's like the way he is.
That's kind of like the appeal of it too. It's because like he's going all the way in, you know.
Going all the way in. It's like as if I'm, you know, the biggest rock star in the world, but like
exactly.
Yeah, it's pretty amazing.
Yeah. So that's my final pick.
That's cool.
Cool. Yeah, I've never heard that.
Yeah,
I mean, they're
wild,
they're actually quite popular in Japan. You know?
Oh, cool.
Yeah.
Do they only have a cassette out? Is that
they have a bunch of stuff out, but like I think that but
mostly like digital releases.
Yeah.
But I think for the tour they put out a tape, and kind of like they're doing a very like DIY hardcore punk thing. So
yeah, they are. Yeah. But making this big like commercial J-pop music, anime music done by punks, right? Yeah. It's pretty wild. Yeah.
It's definitely worth checking out. Like it's hard to put in words, but what you're thinking in your mind about how crazy it is, like just watch the first video that pulls up whenever you search it on YouTube. Yeah, he's got the pink hair and he's like, you know, it's wild.
Yeah. Nice. All right. Jeff, what's your last pick?
Cool. So yeah, for my last pick, and you know, you had my good friend Eric Chubb on the show not too long ago.
Chubster,
and he was just showing a series of like Southern hardcore releases, and it just was so stoked, you know, because you know I'm from North Carolina, but in a lot of ways, like over the years, like it just feels like always has felt like Richmond, Virginia is kind of like our sister scene or whatever, you know, and for me, like. I don't even know how much people care about this record anymore, but like Unseen Force, In Search of the Truth. For me, this is like, as far as like 80s hardcore goes, this is like an all-time classic, you know? And it's funny because, you know, I think a couple of the people in this band, like Greta, the bass player, and Scott used to play and be involved with the hardcore scene in Pennsylvania. They're in a band called like 2000 Maniacs, who like
Oh,
I know.
yeah.
I think Haas was in that band. Is he
Bill
involved?
Haas was the singer of 2000 Maniacs. He's coming on the show in a couple of weeks. Yeah.
No way. That's awesome. Bill is
crazy. Yeah.
Bill is like the nicest dude whenever I talk to him.
That's amazing. Yeah.
But they relocated to Richmond, Virginia, and this band was formed. And I don't know. It's funny because this record came out in '86, and like you would think that like maybe in that era it would fall into some of the trappings of like crossover and stuff like that. And like maybe there's like some kind of metallic stuff going on with the guitars, but it's really like it doesn't sound like DRI. You know, it sounds like a like classic '80s hardcore to me. You know,
Yeah.
And you know, the big thing about this record, as far as like the reason I know about it, is that Brandon reissued it on No Way back in like the early 2000s.
That's right. Yeah.
You know, and he was really good about all that sort of Richmond stuff. Like he reissued the Honor Roll demo and like a bunch of other stuff. And like I just feel like that and like White Cross and Graven Image and all these like classic Richmond bands, and like even talking Southern hardcore and like Coro and all that stuff from that era, it's just like it just feels like it's like in my DNA. And so is this record. And I don't know how many you know like people out there like sort of like have forgotten about this record. Like you can find the reissue for like really cheap, you know. And it's just it's a fucking ripper, man. So I just wanted to give a little bit of attention to another Southern hardcore ripper, you know.
I love I've always loved the cover as well. It looks like a kind of like cheap heavy metal record, maybe a little bit. Right. But it's like just adds to the greatness of it.
Rolling the dice with the skulls on it. So yeah, and it's funny, like Scott, the one dude, like who I think he is one of the dudes who was in 2000 Maniacs. He still lives in Richmond. He like still works at Plan 9 Records. So like all those people are like still around and stuff, you know. It's like it's kind of cool. You know, it's just like a little piece of the hardcore puzzle for me, you know.
Yeah.
Oh
yeah. Anyway.
Nice.
Fuck yeah.
All right. The final.
Oh my god, the final one.
Final cheers, I was going to say, but the final one.
Yeah.
The final countdown.
Wait. Let me get some more.
Pour yourself a drink. Get yourself a
let me pour some more wine all over my roommate's computer.
Yeah.
All right.
Or a little bit of Bill Haas.
Oh yeah.
But someone buy Bill Haas's 22K. Who can remember?
It goes for that much now, huh?
All right, Mateo. What's your last record of the day?
So, if you know me, my next pick is like the least surprising pick one of the least surprising picks I could ever have. It's extremely on brand, but I got to do it because I have been listening to it a bunch recently. Because why wouldn't I be? But it is fucking Sepultura.
Yeah.
Yeah.
It's fucking Sepultura, baby.
Oh yeah.
Let's go. Like this is the shit.
Yep.
Yeah. Yeah. Sepultura is like probably my favorite band actually. If I think about all the music I've enjoyed since I was like a youngin, like a real ass youngin, I feel like they're the band that stuck with me the most, you know. And I feel like I love them more now than I even did maybe back then or something. Actually, I definitely like them more now. So it's like crazy. It's cool to have a band that you like grow with in a way. But like obviously for me, it's all about the first 5 records, you know.
I was going to ask you how far can you go like in the discography?
I think Roots is cool.
I like it too. Yeah.
It's, you know, I think Chaos AD is fucking sick. That was the first CD I bought from them. It was it was Arise and then Chaos AD. Chaos AD, you know, it loses steam halfway. Like, but there's bangers all over that record. That record's amazing. But Schizophrenia is the first record I ever owned by them on vinyl because it's a cool story about this record. Fucking my neighbor when I was growing up in Jersey City, I used to walk their dog. It was this couple and Jeff. His name was Jeff Feinberg. Shout out Jeff Feinberg. You know, I knew them since I was like a kid. And then when I was kind of getting into like punk and hardcore and stuff, they were kind of like, huh. And then, you know, eventually I found out. So I loved Converge, like, you know, 2004 or 5, like I would love Jane Doe and I loved You Feel Me. And I liked the earlier records too. I was like getting into that shit. That was like a gateway for a lot of shit for me. Turns out Jeff Feinberg played in Converge. he was the original bassist of Converge from like when they started to like 96. So he was a math teacher, and he's just like, this like dorky guy that lived on my block that was like very nice. But when he found out that I was like, getting into shit, he actually started to put me on pretty hard, and he gave me a lot of cool records. He gave me a lot of cassette tapes. He gave me CDs, or he would just let me borrow shit too, and then I would bring it back to him. But one of the records he gave me was this copy of Schizophrenia.
Wow.
Hell yeah.
And I remember because I loved Arise, and I wasn't even hip to like Beneath the Remains then, because I didn't have it on CD, and I couldn't like, it was hard for me to download. I knew like a couple tracks off of it. I knew like Stronger Than Hate. I knew Beneath the Remains, the song. I didn't have that, but I had Schizophrenia, and the shit fucking blew my mind, like, and then so recently, obviously, as you are all aware, they've been doing this reunion shit that's like the two brothers.
I was going to ask you, have you heard like the Cavalera like version?
The re-release of Morbid Visions and Bestial Devastation? I have. I can think it's pretty good.
Dude, it sounds immaculate, man.
But going to see them last year at Maryland Death Fest, they were doing Beneath the Remains and Arise. And this necklace belonged to a dear friend, Fran, who passed away. And, rest in peace, Fran. And she and I, when we became friends in like 2008, 9, like, we bonded over fucking Sepultura, and Entombed, and, because she was into like death metal, and like a lot of the punks at the time were not really that into metal, that we knew at least. But I was always fucking super into it. So we bonded super hard with Sepultura. And going to see them play that shit at Maryland Death Fest, I mean, I was like coming up on mushrooms. I literally was just sobbing the whole time. Like I was like moshing and crowd surfing and crying like the entire set. Like it was like mind blowing,
Dude, there's like a photo of you like going like this to the band on top.
Yes.
Of the whole
Well, yeah. So then, that was when they played Gramercy, like a couple weeks later, the tour came to New York and they played Gramercy Theater, and then there's a photo of me like Christ pose in front of Igor Cavalera, like that. I don't know. It's a pretty cool photo, I guess, but it's my fucking shit. But so they, this year they're doing Bestial Devastation and Morbid Visions, and I went to go see it last month or whatever. And oh my god, it's fucking crazy how good they are. Still, like they fucking rip. And
so upset I didn't get to go to that, man. I'm so upset I didn't get to go to that.
Oh, I wish you had gone, man. But
I know. Well, we had Lotion that night, and I booked that
right.
Download,
which is
and
crazy.
In fact, I was talking to Igor about
Lotion fan.
Yeah, I talked to him on Instagram. I was like, hey, my friend Mateo told me that you're a big fan. You should pull up to the show. And I was like willing to just like take him on my motorcycle up to our fucking show. But he just like,
he's like, I'm on tour. I gotta like rest,
Yeah.
But like, I mean, Igor, I got to meet him in London last year because Nailbomb is pretty fucking sick. Yes, definitely. But like, he came to the Lotion show at Static Shock Fest last year, and I met him. And it's funny because I had this thing where I was like, I'm meeting this like hero that I've like looked up to since I was like an actual child, But it was also Coxsparrow's 50th anniversary show.
Oh shit! Yeah.
And me and Mike Gorup and Sully all bought tickets to see Coxsparrow because for some reason we thought that like they wouldn't overlap, but they fucking very much overlapped. So I got to meet Igor for about like 5 minutes, and he was really sweet. And then I was like, I'm not even gonna get to see Lotion. I'm gonna go run and catch Coxsparrow's 50th anniversary show, which by the way was fucking awesome and no regrets.
Oh yeah.
Anyway, fucking flash forward to this year, they're playing Morbid Visions Bestial Devastation, and they're just like annihilating it. And every show, I saw 3 of the shows last year, and I saw this show this year. When they do their encores, they kind of tease some next shit. So they had done Troops of Doom already. That was in the set last year. So I was like, all right, I know they're gonna do like Morbid Visions next. This time around, they played Refuse Resist.
Wow.
And Territory. Like they played all territory because before they did this like medley thing that was really cool too. Like they would start with territory and then they would like, oh shit, what up?
Man, I love territory and like that's a total MTV like video staple. It's so good.
Very actually apt for today because that video was filmed in I think Palestine or near the wall. Yeah, shit's crazy. Also, that video, like watching it more recently, it's just sick to be like, dude, fucking Max Cavalera's wearing a cow shirt and got like Discharge and Kyle stickers on his guitar on MTV in the early 90s. You know, like, that's fucking sick. Like,
there's that one on the Obituary video that always kind of like that song, fucking like just like I don't know, they just go hand in hand to me, but it's like total like MTV.
So like, but. Basically, so with Schizophrenia, they played fuck, what song is it? I'm a poser right now, actually. They played Escape to the Void in full too, and it was fucking sick. So I think, you know, when they're gonna come back next year, which they're definitely gonna do, I'm crossing my fingers. They're obviously gonna do Schizophrenia, but I'm hoping that they just do the two records they haven't done, which is Schizophrenia and Chaos AD.
Dude, that's what I was hoping too, man. Like I just like.
So
I'm
sick.
waiting for that, man. Yeah, I'm waiting for that so hard. I'm like, dude, Chaos AD and Schizophrenia, the only two they haven't done, they have to do it.
It's such a cool pairing though of fucking records because it's like there's such different fucking records from different periods.
Yeah. They definitely juxtapose each other in a
cool way. That would be
such very a cool way.
Like but I've been banging this because that got me all excited and man. They're so cool. I love this.
I remember that was like one of my favorite memories. Like we were both fucking falling out of the van, like haggard as fuck, both wearing Sepultura shirts, like looking like the fucking Sepultura fan club, like just looking like shit. Good time, man.
Yeah. Oh man, this is really nice. Also, just by the way, it's so nice to be on here with Dan and Jeff, two tour compatriots. You know, I'm so hungover. I was up to like whatever the fuck this morning, and both of you have seen me in this state before. So y'all already know. But yeah, so from my last pick, fucking Sepultura, you can't go wrong. And also, how sick is that fucking logo?
Yeah.
Just admire it in all its glory. They rock though. I mean, I feel like they always had like this punk spirit. My friend Ben Trogdon, who does a bunch of zines and stuff, his wife's from Chile, so he went to Chile a bunch, and he brought me back at like some of the rock and metal markets in Chile. They just sell these like they're just photos from magazines. So like he brought me back all these like photos. They're like real film photos of a photo from a magazine. So it's a bunch of Sepultura photos he brought me back from like them recording, I think, Beneath the Remains, where like Igor Cavalera is wearing this like big Sex Pistols shirt, you know, like it's just fucking sick. Like those guys, you know, Igor now, you know, he makes like techno music and he makes like noise and harsh industrial.
But I heard he's living in London, right? And I heard he's hanging about with all like the punks in London and stuff.
He is. I mean, he's fucking down, like straight up. Like he's like keeps up with current shit. Like he's got a really good. They've got both of them have really good heads on their shoulders, you know, about current music. They never really have they've never left it behind, you know. Even though I don't agree with some of the musical choices they made, like post like 97, 98, you know, like they're real ones. They're fucking real ones.
Real.
That's one more thing I was going to say, and I think I'm correct. Let me know if I'm wrong about this. Didn't they take the name of the album Schizophrenia from the Restated record?
I would not be surprised because
I'm pretty sure that's 100% true.
There is a connection in metal and in punk between
Finland and Brazil, right?
There's always a connection.
Yeah.
You know, all the early Brazilian punks were always repping Finnish bands. Like, and there's metal too. Like, not. Sorry, Jeff. What?
I was gonna say there's like all those bands like Forca Macabra and like all those. Like,
from Finland doing like Brazilian style.
Brazilian style, like in Portuguese. You know, there is a connection there, and also with metal too, with the kind of more like, you know, bestial styles of black metal, like Mystifier and like Beharit. You know, like there is this like connection between Finland and Brazil that's just like this weird kind of unlikely unholy union.
Yeah, it's interesting.
It's very much there where they like and so like them you know biting resubstitute for the record cover or record name makes tons of sense.
I'm pretty sure it's 100% true. That's where they got the name from. Yeah.
Wow.
Dude, even actually, oh my god, this is like really, because we're punk nerds, so I'm gonna bring this up. I don't have the record handy, but the Tavit Cadet record, I don't remember the name of it, but I have this Tavit Cadet 7-inch, and they have this intro on the 7-inch, and the record's from like 87, so like later 80s Tavit Cadet record, where the intro, when I was listening to it recently, I realized that Sepultura, the intro to Beneath Remains, the like clean guitar intro is the same notes from this Tavit Cadet weird little intro on this 7th.
Yeah. Fucking
and
that's
like,
crazy, dude.
Didn't like Ratos de Paral just, didn't Ratos de Paral just do like a 10-inch that's all like Tavit Cadet covers, or just like plain straight up covered like one of their hot records or something? Like,
that makes sense. Yeah, it makes sense.
Yeah.
There's that weird like Finland
and Brazil connection. Yeah.
So bizarre, but it's awesome.
Because there's also that New Face label that did like a bunch of like Finnish reissues.
Yes, also Brazilian. Yeah.
Okay. I don't know about that. Cool.
Scanto and Vara by Radis is a New Face pressing from Brazil.
Oh, really?
Yeah.
That's a Brazilian label.
Yeah.
Okay. Cool.
Yeah. All right. On that bombshell, that was a great episode. We could probably go on for that. We'll carry on after we stop filming, right? The viewers have already like had enough. we haven't had enough. We haven't. So, man, that was a great episode.
Yeah.
I just got to announce this episode.
Thanks for having us, Mike. Thanks, man. It's sick.
Let me announce next week's show. Actually, there is no show next week. I got to work next Saturday. So Friday, November 24th, Elizabeth Erica, Rachel Courtney, Aaron Gray, come on the show. Tune in. 10 p.m. Eastern. Thanks for tuning in. Some good chat action tonight. Thanks for Sarcophago would also cover Tavit Cadet.
Really?
Wow.
Oh yeah.
I didn't know that. That's fucking sick.
Yeah.
I don't know. All right. Until next time. Cheers, everyone.
Thank you.
Stay healthy and stay